And a good Friday morning, Philadelphia. Screw it. Turn off this music, Gunner. Why not? Screw it.
First win of the year, baby.
Oh, baby.
They may never lose again.
E-N-G-L-E-S, Eagles. Welcome in. It is Kincade Salciunas. Johnny is in L.A. He'll be back, I think, Monday. I don't know anymore. He takes more vacation than anybody. Eagles played in their first preseason game yesterday. Connor Thomas filling in for Johnny today. Brendan Gunn producing the show. Birds win 34-27. First preseason action of the year, first of 3 games before they open up the season. Less than a month from now, September 4th, Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys. Look, it was good just to see them back out there yesterday. It was good to see Lincoln Financial Field, the overhead shots, and everybody wearing the white jerseys, and it was just nice to see football again, and a decent brand of it. And so that's some of my initial takeaways, Connor, is that I just saw somewhat of a clean product. And I get it, 34-27, not much defense going on both sides of the ball. The Bengals defense stinks to begin with. A lot of the starters not out there for the Eagles defensively. But there were some things that I watched that I said, all right, this is a good start. And the number one thing was how the offense moved smoothly with Kevin Patullo. No, I'm not talking about how good Tanner McKee looked and how good some of the weapons looked, catching the football like Darius Cooper, as Andrew DiCecco told us all about him yesterday. I'm just talking about the plays were called on time, wasn't delay game penalties, there wasn't a bunch of illegal man downfields. The offense looked prepared for a preseason game, and for a guy that has been in the NFL for 18 years but has never called plays at any level, NFL, college, high school, to me, that's a pretty good start, and that's all I could have really asked for.
Yeah, we're not going to try and overstate anything with Kevin Patullo, but that's it. He could only mess something up in preseason week 1, and he didn't mess anything up. So that's par for the course, and par for the course is a good thing right now for him. And you're right. Like, everybody kind of looked like, and it was the backup, so this may even be more impressive depending on how much stock you put into it. Everyone looked like they knew where they needed to go, where they needed to line up, what play they were running. The plays got in on time. It was just nice, simple. Doesn't everything feel easy with the Eagles?
Yeah, right now everything feels easy
Eagles
with
offense.
The Eagles. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, defensively, there's a lot to get into. We'll talk about it more in the next segment. The cornerback battle between Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo, none of them played well, and that's why you bring in a guy like Jacorian Bennett. That's why you make the trade, and we saw it last night. Vic Fangio and company have clearly been seeing this since training camp started, which is why they went out and made the trade for Bennett. As Andrew DiCecco has told us numerous times, a guy like Thomas Booker was somebody that was definitely in their rotational plans to help, sort of fill the void of Milton Williams. We know that Jordan Davis only plays really certain downs, certain rundowns. So they traded a guy that they had a bit of stock in for another corner that will definitely be a part of this competition that was between Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo. But let's start with the offense. Nick Sirianni, after the game yesterday, here he is talking about how Tanner McKee looked.
Played good. No, he did a lot of good things. Went to the right place with the football, was accurate, ran, had really good operation, him and Kevin, a lot of communication, and yeah, he did a really nice job.
Now, when you first walked in this morning, you were like, dude, Tanner McKee is very, very good. You dropped a double very.
Double very good.
A double very. Look, he's good. I not about to go very, very after one preseason game, but he was good. And in his opportunities last year, he showed that he belongs in the NFL. And that's big, right? To have a backup quarterback that that if something were to happen, you have faith in. Now, what's the ceiling? I don't know. He's a backup quarterback, and maybe he gets an opportunity down the road with another organization. But no, you feel comfortable seeing him be able to throw the football to certain spaces. You see him be able to make plays extended. I saw a couple of times yesterday where the pocket collapsed and Tanner McKee was able to roll out and keep the play alive and make throws in stride. So, yeah, you have a pretty good option as your backup quarterback. There's a reason why they felt very comfortable moving on from Kenny Pickett, despite trading for him just last year when he had the extra year on his deal. They trade him to the Cleveland Browns for a mid-round pick. And you have faith in Tanner McKee, who's making a name for himself after being an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, it's just one less thing to worry about, right? There are teams out there that are like, if our guy goes down, we're absolutely screwed. And if Jalen Hurts goes down, the Eagles are pretty much screwed, but not absolutely. And that's just because they have a guy who's been here a while in Tanner McKee. And I don't want us to forget where we came from, right? I'm not saying that if Hurts goes down late in the season, Tanner McKee comes in and wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I will remind everybody that one of the two came from the guy that backs up the guy. So it's always good to have someone in that position that seems competent. And a lot of teams in the NFL do not.
And he was competent. That first drive especially, they went down the field with ease. Will Shipley with the big run. And then Tanner McKee with the tush push. The tush push touchdown being in the first scoring drive of the preseason is absolute perfect theater. It's almost as if you wrote the script. It's almost as if Roger Goodell said, hey, let's make this happen, even though Roger Goodell wanted to ban the play. I love the double bird, the FU to everybody. By the way, the Bengals, one of the teams that tried to vote the tush push to go away. Tanner McKee, speaking of him, here he was after the game. And this clip, I'm playing this clip for a reason. Because not only does it mention Darius Cooper, to give credit to our man Andrew DiCecco, who said, hey, keep an eye on this guy. Number 41, which is a really weird wide receiver number. Like that number needs to change. But he talked about Darius Cooper. But also, take a listen to what Tanner McKee said Kevin Patullo sort of gave him the freedom to do.
It was a concept with this individual route. JP's like, give him whatever you want. I'm like, if it's one-on-one, we're going to take a go ball. So great release, beat him over the top, made a great grab at the back and the end of the end zone. So it was good. It was good to see that and just see like new guys make big plays and kind of have that. Because I feel like throughout practice you kind of have that chemistry and different things, but to see it in a game and see guys make big plays like that, it's a lot of fun and builds confidence for me as a quarterback to give them the ball, but also for the other guys that are on the sideline and the coaches, just like, hey, these guys can make big plays.
So I get it. It's Tanner McKee and Darius Cooper. It's not Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, but if Kevin Patullo already sort of feels comfortable saying, hey, Tanner, talk to Darius in the huddle. This is what we're going to do, but let him decide where he wants to go with the football and where you want to go with the football. When Patullo was first hired, everybody that had the concerns of Patullo never doing it before totally understood. All right, I think very logical concern. One of the things I said to John a couple of times, because John is extra concerned about it, is what about Jalen Hurts sort of continuing to find himself in the NFL? I believe he will be a bigger part of the offense in terms of creating plays, coming up with plays, the meeting rooms, because Jalen Hurts has now been in this offense for multiple years now. And one of the big things with Hurts last season was his ability to check into plays. He was one of the better quarterbacks. There are stats that back it up for checking into plays and the result and how well the result was after a play was checked into. And if Kevin Patullo already feels comfortable in a preseason game to turn to his backup quarterback, who he may be testing, a wide receiver who's fighting for a back end of the roster spot, giving him the opportunity to try to prove himself, and it results into a touchdown, that's something where I go, all right, a veteran OC, not really surprised by, but a guy that's doing it for the first time, having that confidence and faith in some backup players to do that, again, I'm not going over the moon with it, but I'm pretty happy with what I saw yesterday.
Absolutely, and the reign to do that he's giving out, he's not trying to do too much. He's not trying to be overbearing. Hey, I'm the guy now, so we're going to do it the way that I want to do it. And I don't know that Jalen Hurts knows this offense, because his offense is going to be slightly different with a new play caller, but I think he's just at the point in his career where he knows offense.
Yeah.
Like he knows what to do and where to go regardless of who's calling the plays. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, look, we'll see.
I'll be careful on that limb I'm out on, that the Eagles' offense is going to be okay.
Yeah.
But
look, we'll see once they're going up against actual defensive concepts and not just base defense. Don't hurt anybody. So we'll see come regular season time. But again, all I can base my reaction today is off of what I've learned so far. And what I learned yesterday is that Patullo seems to be a guy that I can trust to go out there and put together somewhat of a game plan.
He's got a brain.
Yeah, he's got a brain. Right, he's competent. All right, coming up next, not everything was good, though, last night for the Eagles. Two players fighting for a job. Both didn't play so well, and that may be why there was a trade. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Connor and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. So one of the logical concerns going into the 2025 season for the Philadelphia Eagles is how does Kevin Patullo handle play calling duties for the first time in his life? And I thought yesterday, again, against a very vanilla defense of the Cincinnati Bengals, and, well, a bad defense to begin with because they stink, a very vanilla defense shown by the Bengals, I thought Patullo did a pretty good job. Not to overreact, but I was happy with what I saw yesterday. Now, another logical concern heading into the 2025 season was the second cornerback spot. Everyone feels very comfortable with Quinyon Mitchell after what he was able to do his rookie season, and based off of all the reports from training camp, all of his teammates that have spoken at the podium, Quinyon Mitchell's having another great training camp, right? We heard the stories last year around this time about, wow, this kid's different. It has continued. Now, Darius Slay then walks, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I was pretty disappointed by. And their response was to maybe promote Keely Ringo, but let's also bring in a Dory Jackson, who's been in the league. This is will be his 10th season in the NFL. And we'll see who wins this competition. And Eagles Twitter would have told you that Keely Ringo won the job the second Darius Slay signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
And then a couple of weeks into camp, the reports are coming out that Adoree Jackson had actually been performing better than Ringo. Now, that's camp. Yesterday was our first chance to see it in an actual game. And look, I value the fact that it was against the Bengals starters. Like, it was T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and Chase Brown and the Bengals starting offensive line. Like, that was a real contest for some of those players. And Adoree Jackson was not great. He was okay. Tackling was good for Adoree Jackson, an aggressive tackler, but he had a lot of soft coverage on guys. Now, I get it. Jamar Chase is one of the best. You want to say Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are the best duo in the NFL. You could make that argument. But I wasn't necessarily thrilled with what I saw out of Adoree Jackson. I did not like what I saw out of Keely Ringo.
No, not at all. And for anyone who's going to say, well, it was Jamar and he won the wide receiver triple crown last year, I get it. It's a tough matchup. Let's not forget that you had a rookie in the slot putting Jamar Chase on his ass in a big spot last year. Like, the good players will step up even if they're up against a good player. And last night, Keely Ringo didn't look like a good player. Like, if you're nervous about the cornerback position and saying, Jacorian Bennett, save us, you should be, I think, today.
Yeah. Now, look, Jacorian Bennett, again, there's a reason why you bring him in. He's got starting experience and was the starter for the Raiders last year until he got hurt. It's a little alarming when DiCecco tells us that he almost has, like, chronic shoulder injuries, it seems like, where it continues to pop up. But, look, you bring this guy in, it seems like it's a flyer, but a flyer with a legitimate chance of him winning a starting job if it continued this way. Because I'm doing the show with me every single day. I never like to anoint people. I hate it. Like, when I see people on Twitter, the second Darius Slay signs with the Steelers saying, oh, it's your time, Keely. Like, it's your time to try to win the battle. Like, that's my reaction to that. It's not, oh, it's your time. He's been in the lab. He's been in the incubator. Like, this is the stuff I saw on social media. And I had to see it play out first. And look, it's only one game. We saw an Eagles defense last year look pretty bad through the first 4 weeks of the season and then become the best defense in the NFL. So there is time. But, with Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell, there's pedigree. There's the former first-round pick in Quinyon Mitchell and a 10-year vet in Darius Slay. You're willing to be patient with those guys. I don't know how patient I can be with a guy that's bounced around the NFL and Adoree Jackson and a guy that was passed over at times last year when the opportunities came for Keely Ringo.
Let me ask you, though, does your eye test, because that's what we're going off of right now, what we saw from Keely Ringo in last night's action against Jamar Chase and other guys from the Bengals, does your eye test get outweighed if Vic Fangio says at the end of camp, yeah, he's our guy? Like, let's say Keely Ringo doesn't look great. He looks okay, or he looks like what he looked like last night. And Vic's like, nah, trust me, I got this.
No, with all due respect to Vic Fangio. I mean, look, even Howie Roseman deserves all the flowers in the world, and I still was critical of the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade. And I didn't like that Vic Fangio eventually said, we'll be fine. Like, no, I don't think you'll just be fine. Maybe. We'll see. Like, Sidney Brown got hurt again yesterday.
Right into the blue tent.
Trying to make a tackle. So I don't know if they'll be fine. So even though Vic Fangio is the smartest man in the world when it comes to defense, apparently. Like, I'm still not just going to be like, oh, okay. He may be their guy because he's the best of a bad litter. I don't know. It's like Harrison Bader in the outfield.
Yeah,
like, I'm serious.
Exactly.
Like, that's kind of what
he's going to look better by comparison,
to, right.
maybe. But no, I'm with you. I was just curious because I know there will be people out there that if Vic Fangio makes the decision to go with him will say, why do you not trust Vic Fangio? Look what he did last year with this defense.
Sure.
I think you could still trust your eyes.
John would probably say that.
Maybe.
Because
we can ask him on Monday.
You know, us regular radio guys, our opinions don't matter
Oh,
anymore.
yeah, that's what you're getting at.
All right, coming up next, who were other players that flashed yesterday that are fighting for a job or percentage of snaps? We'll discuss that next, and you'll hear from Nick Sirianni on some of those players as well. It is Kincade and Salciunas, Connor, and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
One preseason game down, 2 to go. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score. Did not play, but one guy who did play was backup quarterback Tanner McKee. McKee went 20 of 25 through the air for 252 yards and 3 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 1 rushing. Nick Sirianni spoke about McKee after the game.
Played good. No, he did a lot of good things. Went to the right place with the football, was accurate, had really good operation, him and Kevin, a lot of communication, and yeah, he did a really nice job.
Wide receiver Darius Cooper also had himself a night last night as he tries to earn a roster spot. Cooper had 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. The players have a day off today before returning to camp tomorrow. Vic Fangio is set to speak to the media tomorrow morning at 9:40. And the Eagles' lone open practice of this offseason is this Sunday, but don't go looking for tickets. They're already sold out. The Phillies are back in action tonight after a day off yesterday. They're on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound tonight. First pitch is at 8:05. The Phils enter today, currently holding a 2.5 game lead over the New York Mets in the NL East. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
5 here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. Reacting to Eagles preseason game number 1. Lots of Philly stuff that we're going to get into in the 7 o'clock hour because we had a really interesting conversation with Matt Gelb yesterday that I still don't really know how to feel following it. So that comes your way around the 7 o'clock hour. Your initial reaction to the Eagles, first chance to see them in the preseason, you text in at 610-632-0975. Now, some other players that I thought did pretty well yesterday. I was surprised. I was looking at our YouTube chat earlier, and somebody was upset with what they saw out of Ty Robinson yesterday. I thought Ty Robinson...
Couple of pressures, sack.
Yeah, I thought he made a lot of his opportunities. And remember, he's doing it not next to Jalen Carter yesterday. So he's winning whatever battle he has, whether it's a one-on-one or maybe there's a two-man battle that he needs to get through. Imagine when Jalen Carter is on the field, the amount of attention. That's why, with all due respect to Milton Williams, I hope, sent a thank you card to Jalen Carter because that's why he got paid.
Right. There's one guy on that defensive line that's the guy.
Right, and he grabs the most attention from defensive tackles and, hell, even running backs if running backs feel the need to chip. Like, Ty Robinson, I thought, played pretty well yesterday. As you mentioned, a couple of pressures. There was like a screen pass that he broke up. I thought he had a really good game yesterday. The pass rush was the rest of the pass rush was like okay,
Right. But you didn't have your guy. Like, that was the one position out there where you didn't have people really fighting for spots all that much.
You're fighting for percentages. You got guys like Josh Uche out there and Ojulari out there that are fighting for percentage of snaps.
No,
and
I know. I'm just saying.
One of the reasons why this defense was ferocious second half of the season last year was everybody that got a chance to play, especially after Bryce Huff got hurt and wasn't on the field anymore. Everybody was getting to the quarterback or at least making them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there's a legitimate chance that Keely Ringo could start at outside corner. There's a legitimate chance that Sidney Brown could start at the second safety spot. Those guys don't have legitimate chances to be true starters, so it's like, what can you get out of depth? Is all I'm saying. You shouldn't be overly concerned about it yesterday with the lack of pressure.
Depth on the edge is important, man. And I don't know where it's coming from. But look, there was a lot of good things yesterday. So let's play some clips from Nick Sirianni. We'll start with Darius Cooper, who we've mentioned a couple of times today. And again, Andrew DiCecco, shout out to him. He predicted him to win the Paul the Burner Turner Award for the Camp Darling. He had a good day yesterday. Finishes with 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Here is head coach Nick Sirianni talking about Cooper.
He has a lot of good tools, catches the ball obviously really well. Those are some tough catches that he made today, particularly on some of those shallows. That fourth down shallow was like a perfect ball by Tanner with some traffic. I think they were in 2-man, and he had just made a really nice catch there. And so he's continued to get better, learning all the different spots that he needs to play. I think he's got an opportunity to do some good things. Obviously, you saw that out there today.
Now, all of a sudden, wide receiver, the back end of the wide receiver room has become an interesting conversation because Darius Cooper, if this is real, makes a name for himself yesterday. You know that it's AJ, Devontae, and Jahan Dotson as your 3, receivers that will be on game day. You usually dress 5. Sometimes you can push 6, depending on how many running backs you want to have dressed. Or in the Eagles' case, sometimes they only dress 2 tight ends, which maybe gives you that extra spot. But let's just say it's only 5 wide receivers. 3 of them. It's AJ, it's Devontae, and it's Jahan Dotson. So that means 3 guys are fighting for 2 spots, if that's the case, if they decide to go with 5. So that was Nick Sirianni talking about Darius Cooper. Another guy that had a really good day yesterday who suffered from the cases of the drops last year was Johnny Wilson. He goes 3 catches, 73 yards yesterday. Here's Sirianni talking about Wilson.
Yeah, obviously he had a really nice day today too. It's easy to look at stats for a wide receiver and say this guy did this and this guy did that, but Johnny did a lot of things for us and continues to do a lot of things for us in our number one in our rush offense last year. That was number 1 with some of the blocks that he had, and he was really good on special teams. It takes guys time to develop into pass catchers and against the different coverages that he's seen in the NFL. I think he did a really nice job adjusting to the football, making some really nice plays. Tanner put the ball on him. I thought the one that he adjusted to on the back shoulder where he kind of turned and caught it was really good and did a good job with his fundamentals getting to his back so the ball didn't pop out. We saw the ball pop out with Jihad on his interception opportunity. But Johnny did a good job of getting to his back, and he did a lot of good things. And he's one of our really tough players. Yeah, it was fun to see him get some production today with that.
That's a lot of praise for Johnny Wilson. Now, Nick's right. He was a big part of their offense on the ground last year, too. Yeah. The only thing with Johnny Wilson on the ground last year was the long arms, which sometimes he'd get called for holding. That happened a couple of times last season. But that's just a couple of times. And Nick Sirianni does value that wide receiver that can do it all. Olamide Zaccheaus, Zach Pascal, right? These guys that, they're not really going to be in the game plan all that much, but they'll be on the field. And when you're on the field, you're going to have to block, especially for a run-heavy offense like the Philadelphia Eagles will have. And, of course, there's another wide receiver from Johnny Wilson's draft class. That's Ainias Smith. Now, Ainias Smith had a touchdown yesterday. He just finished with 2 catches and 11 yards. But Ainias Smith has a bit of a leg up on both of those players because of what he can also do in the return game. He had a great return yesterday, punt return for 46 yards, which is something that if he wants to be on the active roster, he's probably going to have to win that return man job. He went up against Avery Williams yesterday, who didn't have as much success. Here was Nick Sirianni talking about Ainias Smith.
We've always seen the explosive ability to change directions by Ainias. You saw it on the punt return there, where he made the guy miss and went for a big gain. You know, that's all over his college tape, and we get to see that in practice quite a bit. And he did a good job. He's scrappy, and I think that you're seeing a good competition for those back end of the rosters. Jahan obviously did a really good job tonight. We wanted to get him a couple touches and let him go to work as the number one receiver. But then you got a lot of good competition, and competition brings out the best in guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that race kind of plays itself out.
By the way, I love that Jahan Dotson played yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that was really cool.
He should, I guess.
Yeah, but again, like, you could make the case where, all right, he's all right. He's a proven NFL player. He's not going to he doesn't have to play. I like that. I don't know whose decision it was. I imagine it was the Eagles first. They go, hey, Jahan, we need you to get worked into this offense, because one of the biggest excuses for him last year was that the trade was late in camp. He never really got a feel for the offense. That's that's the excuses, right, that we found out. Yeah. And then remember, week 17, when he was the guy in a game that didn't matter, week 18, he had a pretty good day that day. Jahan Dotson has ability, and I do believe that he is more involved in the offense. It's one of the things that John and I talked about a couple of weeks ago. But more involved to the tune of, instead of 0 catches, 1 target, maybe it's 1 catch on 3 targets or 2 catches on 4 targets. Like, I believe now that he's had a full camp, Dotson will be involved a little bit more. I just love the fact that they played him yesterday.
Yeah, and that's great to see from him wanting to be that guy too and wanting to contribute. I mean, winning a Super Bowl motivates everybody, so you want to be out there as soon as possible. And just like the Kevin Patullo conversation, right, where we were saying there's not too much to take out of this, but he has a brain. Like, yeah, there's not too much to take out of the Eagles' wide receiver back end of that room. But yesterday, I think we saw they're going to have more usable depth. Like, Ainias Smith you can put on the field in some circumstance. Johnny Wilson you can put on the field in some circumstance, where last year there were questions about that with the drops.
Right.
We already knew Jahan Dotson is a guy that'll be out there. But you feel better about the depth that you have. Not that they'll make up for A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith if either of those guys go down, but if you need to rotate them in.
Few do, by the way. A top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. All right, lastly, we also got to see Jahad Campbell yesterday, which that was something we were wondering. Are we going to see Campbell? Are we going to see Drew Makuba? Because these are some of the guys that were banged up in camp. Obviously, Jahad Campbell falls in the draft because he was banged up coming out of college. But he made a couple of plays, got pinched for a penalty. Hands came up too high, right into the face mask. Had a chance at an interception, but it went through the wickets. But here was Nick Sirianni yesterday talking about the Eagles' first-round pick.
He's growing, and he's doing a good job. Obviously, he's highly athletic and can do a lot of different things, and see him getting better every day.
Yeah. I mean, look, everybody that has been at training camp has talked about this guy as if he is like the number one camp guy right now. And sure, like, it was good to see him on the field yesterday.
Yeah, did you see number one camp guy last night? I didn't really see anything that, like, crazy flashed.
No, but they're trying to work him into a new position, or, somewhat of a new position for him. He's all over the place in terms of what he could eventually end up being. But look, he might be a starter We don't know where Nakobe Dean is. So Jahad Campbell very well could be your starter week 1.
He's another need a new number guy because I don't like seeing 30 in
Yeah, but he's
but
on the roster. He picked that one.
Listen, man,
so 30 is his number.
Go for it. But
if Darius Cooper wins a spot, he needs to definitely change his number. 41 being a wide receiver is disgusting.
But like Campbell, when he got to the ball last night, when he was making tackles, you could tell strong guy, very fast, getting places. But he's just like slow to kind of read it a little bit still, which is what you'd expect from a guy that's learning. He was just where Zach Bond would stop a play for a 2-yard gain. Last night it looks like Jahad Campbell stopping it for 4 or 5, which is just growth as a young linebacker.
Yep, absolutely. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line. Your reaction to preseason week number 1 for the Eagles. Look, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm concerned with CB2. It's one of those logical concerns. So when you watched last night the battle in front of us between Adoree Jackson and Kelee Ringo, and none of them really showed you that they would be the clear winner of this competition just yet. What's your reaction to that? You were the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL last year because you felt comfortable in that secondary. I have concerns about the secondary, specifically the right side. Sidney Brown already banged up. Drew Makuba banged up. A rookie. Sidney Brown, you know how I feel about him as a football player. Concerns with Ringo and Adoree Jackson. Let's talk about it. 610-632-0975. Also, coming up next after we check our text messages, I wonder if the regular man or woman would care about something that athletes do. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The summer's here, and you know what that...
.639 here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, that's not right. I just looked at our YouTube chat. MBD checks in. Ringo Starr is a better corner than Kelee Ringo. Come on, man. After one preseason game, we're going Ringo Starr. is better than Keely Ringo.
Yeah, I'm going to still take Keely Ringo, but I haven't seen Star's tape.
That's
I got to
true.
check it out.
He also went Ringo from Pulp Fiction as another guy that's better. Come on, guys.
You're going to run out of Ringos real quick.
Yeah, probably. Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, both not having great days yesterday as they continue to compete for the second starting quarterback job, if it's their jobs to go after. I mean, you trade for Jacorian Bennett for a specific reason, it seems like. And we'll talk to Andrew DiCecco about that later on the 8 o'clock hour. And again, as I mentioned, Phillies talk to start the 7 o'clock hour. But what do we got on the text line? I know we got a couple texts coming in. You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Your overall reaction to the Eagles game last night. I have some more questions throughout the course of the show about the Eagles. But really the main focus to start, when you see Ringo and Adoree Jackson struggle like they did last night, does that sort of add to your concern? Because I didn't feel great about that competition to begin with, much like my reaction to Harrison Bader being traded for. Like, yeah, sure, he's an improvement to what? Not a great outfield. That was kind of me with Ringo versus Adoree Jackson. Like, all right, there will be a winner, but do I feel confident in the winner? Not necessarily. Then they make the trade for Jacorian Bennett. What do we got on the text line? Gunner.
Yeah, we got Chris in Northeast Philly checking in. Straight disrespectful with this one, but he says the incubator ain't incubating for Keely Ringo. Get him and Mama Ringo out of town.
Oh, come on.
What's wrong with Mama Ringo?
Why you got to go Mama Ringo?
Yeah, come on. Let's not overstep.
Now, as far as the incubator not incubating, he does have a point there. Keely Ringo has been with this team for a while. So this is not like you just drafted a guy either. And it's just like, oh, you draft him, you use a premium pick, you expect him to step into a spot where you need somebody, and he hasn't really looked good through the start. No, Ringo's been here for a couple years. So now you're at a point where you're looking at this and saying, how much do they continue to give him leash?
Yeah, I mean, look, and here's the deal when it comes to Ringo. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to like any fans. It's just I don't know how people anoint somebody before even really getting a chance to see them. There may have been a reason why they bring in Isaiah Rodgers last year.
Yeah.
There may be a reason why when multiple guys were hurt, Ringo didn't get the opportunity. Same with Sidney Brown with the safety position last year. I understand that he was hurt throughout camp and he wasn't really around till a couple of weeks into the season. But when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson missed time, it was McCollum who got the opportunity at safety before Sidney Brown. So sometimes the team may tell you based off of their actions and playing time before we can even really have an opinion on whether or not a guy's going to become some star.
Yeah, but I'll defend the fan base on this because at that point when that move happened where Darius Slay ends up as the post-June 1st cut, you're looking at a team that had just won the Super Bowl where that haze was still there for the fan base, right? I think the fog of this is a Super Bowl winning team is dissipating the closer we get to the regular season, and that's when you'll start to see the true criticism of can this guy play. I think at that point, dude, it could have been Andrew Salciunas is being anointed as the next cornerback too for the Eagles, and everyone would have been like, they're Super Bowl champions. He's going to be great. It's your time, Salch.
I think people would freak out immediately. All right, what else you got on the text line?
Quick no name on this one, but he says Eagles can't get complacent and relaxed. Everyone is coming into the season hungry and ready to dethrone them. They need to be better than they were last night.
What? Well,
that's
hold on.
crazy.
Yeah, so all right. If he's talking about a specific group of people like Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo, sure, but I didn't see anything that like what are we panicking over? Like I am concerned about CB2. Concerned. Not panicking. I am concerned about Sidney Brown versus Drew Makuba. I'm hoping Makuba gets the edge, but he's been banged up in camp already. But am I freaking out? Like, oh my God, they got to be better. Like,
it's preseason game on.
We're really doing this at 6:40 in the morning?
Well, were Jalen Hurts warm-up throws when he had the pads on not good enough for you?
Like what? All right, look, hey. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, entitled to their reaction. All right, you can continue to climb in on the conversation, 610-632-0975. Did your concern level go up with the cornerback battle yesterday when you saw Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo get a chance to prove themselves or solidify themselves in their competition, and yet both of them looked not so great yesterday? All right, Tanner McKee, though, he did look good yesterday, and it was fun.
Very, very good.
20 of 25, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looks like a guy that belongs in the NFL. What is his future? We'll find out. Is it even with the Eagles? We'll find out. But here was Tanner McKee yesterday. I want to know how many of you out there would actually care about this. Here was Tanner McKee wondering how the Madden rating will look during its next update.
I mean, we'll see. We'll let them decide. But yeah, no, I've had a lot of people come up to me and be like, "Hey, nice job, 61," or whatever it was. So yeah, it's been a funny joke going around.
So his Madden rating is a 61, and clearly he knows it when he brings it up.
The Eagles social media team did a video earlier this week where they told guys their Madden rating, had them react, and Tanner McKee said, "You better be watching on Thursday."
Okay. Do you guys, if you were a player in any sport, would you care about your game rating?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude. That's what you do it for. Not the fame, the millions of dollars.
You do it for your Madden rating or your
Yes.
2K rating?
Absolutely. Bump me up there. My agility's any lower than a 91. I'm going to be ticked off. Got quick feet over here. No, I would. Anyone who says no is lying to themselves.
I wouldn't care.
You would check it.
I wouldn't care.
You would check
Dude,
it.
you know how much I don't care about in life? Like, if there's anybody that actually wouldn't care and is being truthful, it's me.
Yeah, but if there's Radio 2K and they're like, Andrew Salciunas' topic development rating is a 74 in this year's
Well,
game.
I just know first off that
what the hell?
they'd be wrong, and I would be like, they're wrong.
See, you would check it though. You'd have a little bit
So
of
check it, and you would catch a little bit of a feeling about it.
Somebody would tell me about it, and I go, all right, what do they know?
Listen on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, exactly. listen on Friday morning while we react to that preseason football game. Yeah, I don't think I would necessarily care, but whatever. All right, another response on our YouTube chat. Once again from MBD, very active this morning. I treat Howie like a sales executive. Oh, you had a great 2024? That's wonderful. Do it again. Man. It's what you just said. As we get closer to the season, that Super Bowl haze has gone away for people, I guess. Look, you know me. I want more. I never fall in love with success to the point where I don't care about the aftermath. Like, I want more. I was the scoundrel that was upset week 1 in 2018. I was the ass face, right? But to say, like, oh, yeah, you had a good year? Do it again.
That's not fair, considering that. So here's the great thing about Howie Roseman, if you haven't noticed, and maybe people haven't. His good years bleed into good 4 years, bleed into good 8 years. He's got guys locked down long term, so his work continues year over year.
That's true, but also the 2 times he's built Super Bowl contenders and winners at this point, the next season is not the best.
Yeah, but
I got you.
But this is different. Like, this is the way I would want it to be built, where it's young and they're valuing draft picks. Like, again, people hated me in 2018, and maybe they still do. I don't know. When Brandon Graham got his contract extension, I was not happy. Now, that one worked out. When Alshon Jeffrey got his contract extension, I was not happy.
That one did
not work out. There was a lot of thank you contracts that were being given around, and Howie Roseman has talked about it. He's been on the record saying he made mistakes following the 2018, that offseason in 2018, bringing back a lot of guys. He has talked about it that he can't do that again. He has to make harder decisions, whereas that time he fell in love and gave a lot of guys thank you contracts. He's not doing that this time around.
No, I think he's done this the right way, and at the same time, too, he doesn't have to make Saquon Barkley good again. He doesn't have to make this offensive line good again. Like, he's done his job.
Right, exactly. So I feel good about Howie. I was surprised by that reaction on YouTube. But look, it's Sports Talk Radio. We can be all over the place. All right, coming up next, we'll reset some of the topics. More reaction to yesterday's game for the Eagles. But in the 7 o'clock hour, we will open up the Phillies discussion on the day because we had a very, very interesting conversation with Matt Gelb yesterday. Honestly, almost kept me up at night. Concerns, questions, confusion, a lot of it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Connor and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Preseason game 1 is in the books. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score of 34-27 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Most starters did not play, but some guys competing for a starting job did play, like Keely Ringo. It was not the best night for Ringo as he struggled throughout the game. Nick Sirianni spoke about Ringo after the game.
He's done a lot of good things, and everything, we evaluate everything, right? It's not just a one game deal, and I have no doubt that he'll look at the tape, we'll look at the tape, and he'll get better from that.
Hopefully he gets better, and hopefully Tanner McKee continues to get better because he shined last night. He went 20 of 25 through the air for 252 yards and 3 total touchdowns. The players have a day off of camp today before getting back to it tomorrow. Vic Fangio is set to speak to the media tomorrow morning at 9:40, and the Eagles host their lone open practice this Sunday, but don't go looking for tickets. They're already sold out. The Phillies are back in action tonight after a day off yesterday. They're on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound. First pitch is tonight at 8:05. This update was brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It's 54 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Eagles, Bengals, preseason game action last night. We are less than a month away before the Eagles actually resume real football action, before they begin the road to the repeat.
Did you get a juice last night? Did it feel like football season to you?
Did it feel like football? Yeah. Like, honestly, I have never really been a big fan of preseason football over the last couple of years. Like, when I was a kid, I still remember being down the Jersey Shore. What we always did the last week of August and the first week of September before we went back to school. And I still always remember that first week, that Thursday night, when it would be Eagles-Jets, preseason week number 4, every single year. And I'm sitting there just watching the birds. And it didn't matter who the hell was on the field because nobody was playing that Eagles-Jets game year in and year out. And then when guys stopped playing, I sort of lost the interest, right? But it's a little bit different for me right now. I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. I had the opposite reaction. Remember yesterday we talked about this, how many people had less interest last night because they're coming off of a Super Bowl, because they go, preseason. What do I need to watch preseason for? I got the Super Bowl champions.
You had more?
I had more interest because I wanted to see them again. And there are legitimate battles for a team that is not just trying to go 9-8. Like, this team is trying to repeat. We've gone through the NFC and the teams that we think are legitimate threats, and I struggle to find a legitimate threat. Like, the Lions, roster-wise, is a legitimate threat, but I still need to know, how does it play out with the 2 new coordinators? I think the Commanders take a step back this year. I'm not buying major stock in the Green Bay Packers. I like the Rams, but Matthew Stafford's getting epidurals, right? Like, there are teams in the NFC that I go, yeah, they're going to be good, like the 49ers. Worst easiest schedule. Thank you. And their guys are coming back healthier, we think.
The Buccaneers, easiest division.
Yes.
Probably.
Like, there are teams that are going to be really good in the NFC, but when I'm talking about, like, Super Bowl threat, like, there is a tier. There is a hierarchy. But the Eagles have some legitimate questions. And last night, I went into that game going, all right, let me see if one of my legitimate concerns can sort of be eased, or maybe one of my questions can be answered. And I was not eased last night when it comes to the cornerback battle between Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo. And then I was once again reminded that they traded for Jacorian Bennett, and maybe there's a reason why.
Yeah, all summer, my number one spot of concern is that cornerback 2 spot.
Yeah.
Like, that's on the field. That is the biggest question mark. And last night it didn't look good. So the question continues. Are we at the point where it's how we go make a trade? I know he just did for Jacorian Bennett. But, like, are we at the point where we need even another person in this room?
I don't think so. I mean, I think you got to see what you got in Bennett first. Look, the guy was a starter in the league. He just unfortunately got hurt. So I don't think they go out there and get another guy. Now, again, part of the reason why I was jazzed up for yesterday was also that the Bengals did play their starters offensively, and that was a real test. Like, if it was Desmond Ridder or Jake Browning getting the start against Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo, it would have been different. Like, I watched Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase cook Keely Ringo. Well, in week 1, when it's Dak to CeeDee Lamb, in week 2, when it's Patrick Mahomes, in week 3, if Matthew Stafford is okay, and it's Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, like, yeah, that's you just saw that last night. Like, those are pretty high caliber players that you're going to be playing in the first 3 weeks of the season. And the Tampa game with Baker and Mike Evans, and I don't know if Godwin will be back yet at that point.
Buka, though, has been really good down there in camp, apparently.
Yeah, so, like, you're playing a lot of good receivers in the first quarter of the season. And last night, I didn't feel much better about that second cornerback spot. What do we got on the text line, Gunner? You can text in at 610-632-0975. And then we'll get into some Philly stuff for the 7 o'clock hour as well, because we had a really interesting conversation with Matt Gelb yesterday. What do we got, Gunner?
Yeah, and somebody checking in for the first time on our text line, apparently, like that Beatles discussion, because he has a comparison. He says, if Ringo played as bad as if the Ringo and the Beatles played as bad as our Ringo did last night, they would have went back to Pete Best before the first album came out.
That's good Beatles knowledge.
That's great Beatles knowledge.
Yeah,
I never understood the Ringo hate, by the way. He's quality. Yeah, a couple good songs. Yeah, I never understood the Ringo Starr hate.
Big Ringo Starr guy?
Yeah. What else we got on the text line?
Somebody's making, not an excuse, but he said, let's pump the brakes on our corner 2 battle. He struggled last night, but they're playing one of the best wide receiver cores in the NFL.
All right, okay. So first off, they. Let's start there. Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo both struggled. Ringo worse than Jackson, but I don't want to just pick like the best of maybe a bad bunch because, again, that's the Phillies outfield. I'll keep on using that comparison. Wow, against a top duo in the NFL. I will once again say what I just said. Maybe that text message came in before I said it. CeeDee Lamb is your week 1 wide receiver that you're going to be facing. And I get it, Quinyon Mitchell will probably be following CeeDee Lamb. So that means George Pickens, when his head is on right, is a very, very good number 2 wide receiver that you're going to have to be going up against. The Chiefs' weapons, obviously, we don't totally freak out about, but Patrick Mahomes makes everybody better. Week 3, you got good weapons with the Rams, 2 of them in Nakua and Devontae Adams. Week 4, Mike Evans and Igbuka. That's the first 4 weeks of the season. And then week 5, who do you play?
Denver.
Yes.
Yes, it is Denver. I'm sorry. It is Denver. Yeah, week 5. All right. You got good some good weapons
week,
there.
Week
I don't
6
know why.
Giants.
I was thinking Cincinnati again. That was last year.
No,
but,
another orange team.
But the first 4 weeks of the season, like you're playing very, very good skill position players. And so yesterday was a great test, and they didn't pass.
If you're not worried about this, right? If you're just saying, oh, it's fine, there's not the starting defense and everything, you've got some guys that could be started. Remember what happened in the Super Bowl, right? Because it was great, but there was that point, and it was garbage time, so it didn't matter for the final score or whatever. But as soon as the Eagles put some backups out there on the field, immediate getting torched. Like, you're not that far away from having guys out there that could be trouble spots.
Yeah.
And that could make a major difference. So let's not pretend like everything's just going to be fine when you've got a cornerback 1 out there and your cornerback 2 still can't cover.
Absolutely. All right. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I appreciated the MLB and NFL schedule makers working in cahoots so that the Phillies were not on yesterday, so I could just lock in Eagles preseason week number 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. But the Phillies are back in action tonight, beginning a series in Texas against the Rangers, a team that is fighting for a playoff spot, a team that's been red hot since the All-Star break, a team that you have not beaten in Texas since 2014, by the way, which is wild. Like, that's such a wild baseball stat. It has been 11 years since they've won a game in Texas. They have not won a game in the new stadium in Texas.
What is this, San Francisco South?
I guess. So hopefully that changes this weekend. But yesterday, we had a really interesting conversation with Matt Gelb. And we'll play audio for you as the show goes on. Like in the next segment, you'll hear some audio about the rotation. At the bottom of the hour, you'll hear some audio about Nick Castellanos in the outfield. But before we play it, when you heard Matt talking, and again, this is a guy that's around the team every single day, did that add any sort of concern or confusion for you? Concern, you know how I feel about Wheeler. Like, if they need to give him a couple of days off, I'll be all right. The Suarez stuff was a little alarming, but I'm just still confused on August 8th, which should not be, about the outfield.
Yeah, it didn't really add concern for me because it already existed. Like the stuff that Matt was talking about, the Phillies to me over the past couple of weeks, they don't feel like they're in trouble, but they feel shaky. Like it feels like they're 1 or 2 things away from a breakdown.
You mean like all year? It's been like that all season.
No, not necessarily, because the rotation has been largely solid, and you could always kind of lean back on that.
Sure.
But then once you start to have questions about Wheeler and Ranger, then your backbone of your team starts to feel a little bit less stable. And that's where I feel like we're at with them, because for the last couple of weeks, it's been 2 good starts, 1 guy implodes, or 1 guy doesn't have his command. And that's why they haven't been sweeping series for the past couple of months. So if you weren't concerned, it should have added concern. If you've kind of felt this way where they're on shifting sands right now, it should have reinforced that point.
Yeah, so I hate to do a Friday show where like 2 of my questions to start are about concern, but obviously when it comes to Eagles preseason, nobody wants to overreact in a positive way. But when you had the Keely Ringo competition with Adoree Jackson yesterday and they both looked not so great, and spare me the excuse of, well, they're playing good wide receivers. Yeah, what's going to happen in weeks 1 through 18? Like, they're going to be playing starting wide receivers. So spare me with that. Like, that's a sign as to maybe they're not good enough to be your second cornerbacks on this roster. But now also a Phillies discussion. Where is your level of concern with the Phillies? Now, that is such an open-ended conversation because talking all year long, there have been people that have written off the Phillies since opening day, right? And it's been a weird season reacting to the Phillies where when things are good, people are just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The second they lose a game, people freak out. Every morning with John, he points out how, well, this team was able to win that series, but the Phillies can't beat this team. And it's like, all right, like, sure, I don't really know how to react to that. They're still in first place of the NL East. It's just been weird all year, whether it's been about Rob Thompson, Dave Dombrowski, the players on this team. It's just been off.
It has
strange all season long. And now we're in the stretch run, right? Like, I get it. Everybody says that August is the dog days. You have a tight race with the Mets in the National League East right now. And some of the stuff that I heard from Matt Gelb, I wonder, is that going to raise levels of concern for people?
It depends on the lens that you're looking at the Phillies through, because it's weird. We've brought up stats throughout the year. At any point, you can kind of look back, and it's like, in their last 10, they're playing 500 ball. In their last 30, they're playing 500 ball. In their last 60, they're playing 500 ball. And it's just kind of like win 2, lose 1, lose 2, win 1, and then you look at their record, and they're 16 games above 500. Like, I don't know. Half of the time with this team, they look like a 500 ball club, and then their overall record makes them look like they're a true contender. And the Matt Gelb interview is more just like, we still don't know really if this team is that good or not.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They're a tough team to figure out, and with a lot of pressure, that makes the fan base a little bit skittish, and I get that.
All right. You will hear from Matt Gelb coming up next. We'll start with the rotation. He spoke on Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez. You'll hear those clips coming up next. Also, I just saw a comment on the YouTube chat that I take exception to. Somebody saying that I have a lazy take. I'll just respond with, you have lazy information and lazy research. And I'll explain more coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ray Dunn, Mike Missanelli.
I'm not buying the fact that they traded him for depth.
Hear the audio from Matt Gelb here momentarily, but my man Noel on the YouTube chat going with the every team does not have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's a lazy take, Andrew. Well, hold on a second. I was going to do something later on the show, but you know what? Sometimes I need to be like, all right, we'll take shots. I'll fire right back.
Let's bump it up.
I'll move this up.
Clearly, you would care about your Madden rating.
Damn right I would. You caught me. So Fox Sports put together a list of the top 10 wide receiver duos. Now, I was going to go through this in a positive way later on in the show because A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith come in at number 2, and I wanted to have the whole think about how far we've come conversation, right? Because it's been a long time since
Jalen Reagor and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Well, hell, even before that, T.O. and, like, throw out the other name, right?
Yeah.
Freddie, Todd Pinkston, James Thrash, like, you name it. We're not used to seeing 2 stud wide receivers on the Eagles. Like, we got really, really excited for Deshaun Jackson and Macklin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, and for good reason. But, like, they're not this.
No,
they're not A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So, number 1, to Noel's point, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They are saying they have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. The Eagles are number 2 with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Coming in at number 3. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, who you play week 1. Coming in at number 4, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, who you play in week 3. Number 5 is the Seahawks, who you do not play. By the way, way too high.
Yeah.
Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp. That's a top 5 duo. Number 6, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Also, Emeka Egbuka, who you play in week 4 of the season. Coming in number 7, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams, who you play this season. Number 8, you don't play the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Number 9, the Commanders, who you play twice in Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. And coming in at number 10, the Vikings in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, who you play this season. So, of the top 10 wide receiver duos, you play 7 games? Because the 2 of the Commanders and then the other opponents. So you're right. They're not the level of Chase and Higgins. But to say that, like, oh, this is like the one true test, not true.
You know who's at that level? Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, who they practice against every single day. And if you're not getting better, hopefully they are. Hopefully by the time September 4th rolls around, one of these guys steps up. But if you go against those 2 guys every single day and you're not getting better, there's an issue.
Yeah, sure. And as
Fair
people
point.
are pointing out on the YouTube chat, it's not just those guys that are beating them. It's Terrence Marshall and Elijah Cooks and other guys at camp. All right, Phillies. Yesterday, Matt Gelb. Really interesting conversation with him. Let's first start with the ace. Here was Matt Gelb yesterday talking about Zach Wheeler.
I mean, I think there's definitely some concern. I was to the velocity point. I mean, I think it's actually been about where he'd be. You haven't seen as many 98s, as we've seen before, but like the average is not that far off. I think where you're seeing it is, just the fastball hasn't had the kind of like life at the end that you would normally see from him. He's only walked 4 guys in his last 3 starts, so I mean, like the control has been there, but it hasn't necessarily been the best command, right? You see him missing his spots more often than Zach Wheeler typically does. I have concern. I mean, like anytime you mention shoulder about any pitcher, specifically your ace pitcher at the top of your rotation, I think there's some concern. The fact that he went out there and, I watched him play catch Wednesday morning was a pretty decent sign, but I also wouldn't be surprised if, on Friday they say he needs a few more days or, we're just going to give him a break and he's not going to pitch for 2 weeks. Like, I don't know that that's going to happen, but it also would not surprise me if they say that. So right now he's slated to go Sunday. They could push him back to Monday or Tuesday if they felt like he needed another day or 2. I'm not so sure like what that would do. If he needs another day or 2 after pushing him back 2 days, then at this point you're like, maybe he should just get 2 weeks. And that's easier said than done. I mean, it's not like they have a 7.5 game lead in the division like they did at this point last season. They're up 2.5. I mean, and right now the NL is so closely bunched together that like every game is really important because like you're 1 or 2 games off from being the road team in a 3-game wild card series, or you're, got to bye as the 2 seed in the NL. So I mean, these games really matter. It's not like you can say, hey, let's let's just give him a break and everything will be fine. Obviously, Wheeler's health is paramount here, but I think this is a complicated one.
Now, I think the really important one is to mention that the Reds, who are the first team out of the wild card, are 3.5 games back of the Mets. So, obviously the Phillies have some more ground than the Mets do because the Phillies are ahead of New York. But it's not like the wild card race is over. Like if the Mets were to surpass the Phillies would still be in the playoffs. There's still risk of falling out. I don't believe that they do, but there is still that risk, which is why I understand Matt Gelb saying, hey, easier said than done, just giving Zach Wheeler off 2 weeks. I'm giving him off 2 weeks if he needs 2 weeks. I'm giving him 3 weeks if he needs 3 weeks. Like, if Zach Wheeler is not 85% of himself come playoff time, there's no shot this team wins a damn thing. So if I need to be careful with Zach Wheeler, I'll be careful, which is why I have not had that same level of concern as John, because I've seen them do this before in 2022, and it worked out just fine. But look, I mean, if we find out today that he gets pushed again,
then
alarms will go up a little bit.
Exactly. Here's the thing, right? You're going to need Zach Wheeler to win in the postseason. Nobody can deny that. He is a very, very important part of this baseball team, and if you don't have him, you're screwed in October. Now, what I will say is if you do have to shut him down for 2 or 3 weeks, and that causes you to miss the playoffs, guess what? You weren't good enough to win in the playoffs anyway. Like, if you're that guy away from even making it in, the team isn't good enough. I believe the team is good enough to make the playoffs. So that's why I'm where you are, or closer to where you are on the Zach Wheeler concern meter. But still, I don't love hearing that from
I'll say this. The reason why part of me was kept up at night last night, it's not just Wheeler. Here was Matt Gelb talking about Ranger Suarez.
Every single time he pitches, I or someone else is asking about the velocity because he is pitching at essentially 89 right now, which for him can work. It just means that his margin for error is so much slimmer because he better be spotting 89, where he wants it, exactly where he wants it. Because if he's not, it's going to get crushed. And we've seen in these starts, like, it hasn't been like all bad. I mean, it's just been like one inning or one pitch where he gives up a 3-run homer, and all of a sudden that determines the game. So yeah, it's not great. The fact that the stuff has taken a bit of a dip and it doesn't seem like it's coming back at all is a concern, no doubt. The way they handle their pitchers, like if he was hurt, he would not be pitching. I mean, like they've been really good about how they keep these guys in the field, and they haven't figured out everything. But I mean, year after year now, they have demonstrated a real skill in keeping their starting pitchers healthy and effective. So they asked these guys to be honest with them, and I think Zach Wheeler had been pitching through a little bit of soreness, but nothing that he thought rose, above the normal wear and tear of a regular season. But then once it did rise above that, he told the training staff, look, it doesn't feel great. So you would hope that if Ranger Suarez is pitching through something, he would say something. I don't know. I mean, like right now he probably slots third in their playoff rotation. I'm really curious to see what Aaron Nola looks like when he comes back. He pitched again last night at AAA. His velocity was better. He's going to do one more next week, I think Tuesday in Buffalo with AAA, and then he'll be back with the Phillies after that. So you're looking at not this weekend, but next weekend, Aaron Nola probably returning to the rotation.
Now, it's great to hear about Nola, but when he talks about Suarez and he says, also, he mentioned concern again. So he's now concerned about Wheeler. He's concerned about Suarez. They need to keep on winning baseball games. And if you're losing two of your go-to guys for, even if it's a start or two, let's say those 4 games combined, you go 2-2, and I don't know, will that make or break your season? Absolutely not. But when he's concerned about 2 legitimate starting pitchers for this baseball team, I have to take note of that. Now, I will say this. When Matt Gelb goes, I would hope that if Rangers pitching through something, he would tell somebody.
No, he would not.
My man is trying to get paid. And the biggest reason why Ranger Suarez did not get that extension with the Phillies was the lack of availability in the second half of the season.
Yep.
He is going to pitch if his arm is falling off.
And I respect it, but that is not great for the Phillies if he's going through something.
My man wants to get paid.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next. So those are the concerns about fatigue. So we go from concerns to confusion because we are in the second week of August and we still don't know what they are doing with the outfield. Will Nick Castellanos lose playing time? We'll check our Eagles text because I know we have a lot of them, but also more from Matt Gelb in a very interesting conversation from yesterday's show. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Tanner McKee shines. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score of 34-27 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Most starters did not play in that game, but one guy who did was backup quarterback Tanner McKee. McKee went 20 of 25 through the air for 252 yards and 3 total touchdowns, 2 throwing, 1 rushing. Tush push, first touchdown of the season. How about that? Nick Sirianni spoke about Tanner McKee after the game.
Played good. No, he did a lot of good things. Went to the right place with the football, was accurate, had really good operation, him and Kevin, a lot of communication, and yeah, he did a really nice job.
Wide receiver Darius Cooper also had himself a game last night trying to earn a roster spot. Cooper had 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. The players have a day off from camp today before getting back after it tomorrow. Vic Fangio set to speak to the media tomorrow morning, but prior to practice at 9:40. The Eagles also host their lone open practice this coming Sunday, but don't go looking for tickets as they're already sold out. The Phillies are back in action tonight after a day off yesterday. They're on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound tonight. First pitch is at 8:05. Entering today, the Phils hold a 2.5-game lead over the New York Mets for first place in the NL East. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Confused about the Phillies outfield. That's not a good look either. We'll get more into the Matt Gelb conversation we had yesterday with them, but I do want to check our text line about the Philadelphia Eagles, who played in their first preseason game yesterday. Definitely some good takeaways. It was nice to see Will Shipley get that good run.
Yeah, nice little 39 yards.
It was nice. It was also nice to see A.J. Dillon out there and
he looked good,
getting hit and being okay, because the stinger, we know how stingers can linger. If you remember Eagles running back Jordan Howard, it just ended, right? Like he just stopped playing. So it was good to see A.J. Dillon out there, and there was just some good things. Like Darius Cooper was impressive yesterday against the vanilla bad Bengals defense. I get that. But there are, I would say, 2 spots open with the wide receiver slot. If they dress 5, you know that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jahan Dotson are getting 3 of them. It's going to be a competition between Darius Cooper, Johnny Wilson, and Anais Smith. And Anais Smith does some stuff in the punt return game, which could give him a leg up in the competition for one of those roster spots, because you have to play special teams. Johnny Wilson, we played the audio from Nick Sirianni earlier, loves his blocking ability. So Darius Cooper is going to have to really, really play well in the preseason unless they are willing to dress 6 receivers. But a good day for him yesterday. Obviously not a great day for CB2. Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, not a good day for both of them as they are continuing to try to compete for that second cornerback spot on the opposite side of Quinyon Mitchell. What do we got in the text line this morning, Gunner?
Yeah, it's right where we're at. Matt from Media checks in saying with both cornerback 2 struggling yesterday, would you guys take a look at Stephon Gilmore?
I don't know what he's got left in the tank.
I mean, I'm just like, I need to see who Jacorian Bennett is first. They clearly value him where they made the trade, moving on from Thomas Booker. He's a guy that has started in the league. Do I want to bring in a veteran at this stage of camp? I'm not there just yet. You know, I know he's a flashy name that everybody knows, but I'm not necessarily at that point right now.
No, you made a great point earlier when I brought that up about potentially bringing somebody else in. Like, you have to see Jacorian Bennett on the field. And the other thing we've seen with Howie Roseman, it's not ideal, but he'll make trades right up until the start of week 1.
Sure.
Like, it's never too late for him to add to this roster, and he's willing to do so. So if you really get into dire straits, he'll do that. And I don't love the idea of rolling into Thursday night against the Cowboys with a guy that you just traded for like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Like the Jahan Dotson thing from last year.
I got you.
But still, there's time still to figure this stuff out.
I do also wonder if there's a chance, and I would not want this year. We can ask DiCecco about it when he joins us later on the show. What if it's so bad that Cooper DeJean has to slide out? Now, you know how much I value the slot cornerback spot, especially in today's NFL, where nickel defense is now base defense, right? Because that's how offenses are running. You need to have that slot corner. I wonder if that becomes a possibility where you kick Cooper DeJean out to the outside if it's that bad.
I think it's a possibility, but I think it's a break in case of emergency type of situation.
Especially when he's also taking snaps at safety too.
He can't play everywhere.
He might actually be able to. All right, a couple more clips from Matt Gelb to get your reaction to it. 610-632-0975. Confusion in the outfield on August 8th is criminal. I can't believe it. Here was Matt Gelb, and the reason why we wanted him on was because of his reporting over the weekend about Nick Castellanos maybe losing playing time in the outfield.
I don't know that it would necessarily be a platoon, but maybe just peeling back on him a little bit. And I do think that is possible. I think just about anything is possible in their outfield right now. You know, they've been pretty cryptic about what they're going to do moving forward. And all Rob Thompson has said publicly is that, you know, after the 6 games they just played, they're going to reevaluate some things. And moving forward, beginning tomorrow when they're in Texas, I mean, I fully expect Harrison Bader and Brandon Marsh to be playing more often. You know, I think Max Kepler is going to take on a lesser role. And, you know, we'll see. I mean, the proof will be in the first lineup. They're facing a righty, Merrill Kelly, on Friday. And if Bader's in center and Marsh is in left against the righty, like, that's going to give you a pretty good idea of where they're at moving forward. But I don't think that right field is necessarily untouchable. And to this point, it has been. But, you know, Castellanos has been essentially a league average hitter and one of the worst defenders in the sport in right field. So, I mean, I don't know how they can't look at that spot, you know, especially against righties. I mean, his numbers are down. He's hit lefties better than righties. So I think it's something that they have to consider, you know, as they get a feel for what the best outfield is in the last 7 weeks of the season.
I can't believe we're still doing this on August 8th. On August 8th, now we're talking about right field.
I'm with you. Now, I think talking about right field is hasty. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think it should happen. And that's just because it goes back to when we had the pre-trade deadline conversation about Alec Boehm. Like, Castellanos has not been great this year. And defensively, we know what he is. Mm-hmm. But there are too many issues in center and left with the rotations that they can't seem to figure out, which I don't understand how you don't just have Harrison Bader playing left field and then whatever you want to do in center for a platoon, figure that out, or vice versa. Like, it's insane to me that Max Kepler is still getting the time that he's getting, even though the last time we saw him, he was good. It's just there's too much going on that is a higher level of priority than making up for what Nick Castellanos is doing.
Well, he hasn't been great, and they're looking to try to put together the best outfield possible. Now, my follow-up to Matt about Castellanos was, how would he handle it? And here's his answer.
It's going to depend on what the team wants. Does the team want what's maybe best for the team or what's best for Nick Castellanos? And I think that that's a bigger conversation they have to have, because you're right. I mean, I don't know how it would be received.
And he would not receive it well.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know how it would be.
If he crossed the line for Rob Thompson, of all people, to get benched because he was pulled from a game
Rob
in the
Thompson's
7th inning.
Like
God. If he crossed the line that much where he got benched, like, I don't think he will handle being told we're going to take away some of your playing time very well. Now, lastly, what the hell is going on with Justin Crawford? I don't even think Matt Gelb knows the answer, but he tried.
I think it depends on the next few weeks, like how these outfielders perform. You know, I think the fact that he is sitting there and they've said that he is major league ready, you know, when and if they want to go get him, I think that that's a great thing because it puts an emphasis on production now in the majors. You know, whereas earlier this season, they might have been more willing to wait it out and live through some poor production from their outfielders. Now, at this point, they can say, well, you know, we got a guy down there that we want, and if someone doesn't produce here in the majors, we're going to pull that lever. And it could just be that he comes up, you know, in September as a guy who plays a couple times a week, is a pinch running option for you, is a guy, if you need to get a bunt down, he comes up and does it because he's a terrific bunter. Look, I think there's some refinement that needs to be done in his game. I think his center field play has not been as good as they had thought it would be. And if he does come up and play every day, it's probably in left field, which ideally you'd want somebody of his skill set, his offensive skill set, to be a center fielder, I think. You know, the corner outfielders, you're looking for more power production, at least in the traditional way of building a lineup. And yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions about, like, you know, whether he is actually major league ready, but the way that it is now, like, you're just not going to know until you bring a guy up. And that's not just with Justin Crawford, that's with any prospect at AAA. So I think the option is there. I don't know that we see him before September 1st, but if somebody gets hurt or if there's a lack of production, I don't think they're afraid to pull that lever.
All right, so let's compare Eagles and Phillies here.
Okay.
All right, because we're watching a cornerback 2 battle going on right now. Football season, only 17 games. So you need to be able to figure things out pretty quickly. But at least they have a couple of weeks before games actually count. It's August 8th. The end of September is when you're making that final push for the playoffs. We have less than 2 months left of a regular season, and we don't know the outfield. And if we're talking about potentially calling up a kid in September that maybe plays himself into a starting spot in the playoffs, that's embarrassing. And for him, I feel bad that he would have only 1 month to try to get comfortable at the major league level to then be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I hate this. And it's August 8th.
And I haven't this year. Like, I haven't been in the camp because John's talked about it, like not calling them up. He's calling them the Puxatawny Phillies, scared of their own shadow to call them up. I bought into the idea that possibly it was a pre-trade deadline. He's tearing the cover off the ball down in AAA. We keep him down there in case we need to move him. Yeah. He ups his draft stock more, or his trade stock more, and then you could potentially do that. Like, sure. I got that, but then post-trade deadline, that player should be at the major league level. And we are now post-trade deadline. And maybe it's just, hey, let's give it 2 weeks to settle and see what Harrison Bader looks like and how this rotation works. And if that works, we don't need him. But if you wait much longer, you're putting the kid in a terrible spot.
We're talking about calling up one of their top prospects to be a pinch runner and bunter. Like, you heard that from Matt Gelb.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they might call him up if they need a bunt. They'll drop one down or pinch running situation. Meanwhile, like, who's playing over him that you feel confident in?
Right. It's not because the guys ahead of him are good, so that's the only way he fits onto the roster. Like, You need help at these positions.
I don't know what is going on with this baseball team and what they're doing with the outfield. The Wheeler stuff, I can still sleep at night. Suarez, we'll see. But this outfield thing still, even with a trade deadline to try to fix some things, and a guy that is seemingly ready to come up and play, still doesn't get the chance to get called up because you have other guys in front of him that aren't that good. Little concerning, man, and confusing. And it kept me up at night. August 8th, we still don't know what the hell this outfield is. That's ridiculous. All right, coming up next, we get back to more Eagles talk. I always wonder where fans fall when it comes to falling in love with the backup while realizing they could have some value. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Connor and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
Kyle's
segment, I think.
probably. And that's okay. I am somebody that's heartless. I have emotional attachments with random things, but not necessarily players all the time. So yesterday, Tanner McKee had a hell of a game. And I'll give him credit for it. 20 of 25, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. I do believe he is an NFL quarterback. And I think he's probably better, as we've talked about before the show, than maybe a couple of starters in the league. So if that's the case, that means there's value. Now, there have been 0 rumors that people are trying to trade for Tanner McKee. All right?
Right. This is all hypothetical.
All
like,
hypothetical.
Would you not?
And I know how this city gets when it comes to the backup. I know how this city was when it came to the backup pre-Super Bowl 52. I know how the city became with the backup post-Super Bowl 52, when Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl and you can never move on from him. And there was a report that apparently was not necessarily true, but Mike Silver, who covers the NFL, at one point following Super Bowl 52, put out a report that the Cleveland Browns were interested in Nick Foles and were willing to trade a second-round pick, to which I came on the air saying, do that now. Do it, because you will never have higher value than Nick Foles. Caught lightning in a bottle in a good way, right? Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Wins the Super Bowl, you will never get higher value back for Nick Foles. And there were people that were livid, and I understand.
This is ratty work as you're wearing a Philly t-shirt.
Hell yeah, man. I still love and respect Nick Foles, whether he played for the Jags or, whatever. Where else did he go?
Colts, Bears.
Colts, yeah, wherever he went, I still supported
Tom
Nick
Brady
Foles.
on the Bears.
So Tanner McKee is playing himself in terms of raising his value. Who knows if a quarterback goes down somewhere and they value Tanner McKee? I saw Sam Bradford get traded for a first and a fourth-round pick. Sammy Sleeves. All right. Maybe Tanner McKee doesn't get a first and a fourth, but maybe Tanner McKee has raised his value where you could get some legitimate compensation for a guy who's not really a part of your plans. And a team that is going to need to hit more and more in the draft, because we know how the money's being allocated to the offense right now and how it will soon be allocated toward the defense. If a team called and was offering some pretty good draft capital, I'm somebody that does it in a heartbeat. I understand the concerns that if Jalen Hurts were to get hurt, who is your backup quarterback? I've not seen enough from Kyle McCord to be like, yeah, he's the guy. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I don't think really belongs in the NFL, respectfully. So, yeah, if Hurts were to get banged up and you had to go to Tanner McKee, you feel okay. If you had to go to the other guys, you don't. But I'm somebody that's not sentimental when it comes to that kind of stuff.
It's not about sentimentality, though. It's not, I love Tanner McKee so much I can't part with him.
Some people are.
Well, yes.
Some people are.
Those people, I think, are a little bit crazy for a guy that you've seen play in, 2 regular season NFL games? So we're not to that point yet, or at least I'm not. But what I will say is you better come with something nice if you're going to trade for Tanner McKee from this team.
Sure.
Jalen Hurts, not only has he been banged up multiple times in big-time seasons, it's always been late in seasons. Even last year, there were points where we were questioning stuff about the lower body and if he's fully healthy and things like that. And then it just kind of went away, and he ended up being fine. But Jalen Hurts is a guy that gets out there and uses his legs, and he gets hit.
Yeah.
And our guy Jeff McClain wrote a nice article in the Inquirer about how Jalen Hurts is going to be used in the running game and if that ratchets back as he carries more load for the offense. And it didn't seem like the Eagles were committed to changing that, right? So Jalen Hurts is a quarterback who gets put at risk, and Tanner McKee is a backup who can win you a game or two. And you need that. And I don't think you have that without him. So, no, I'm not moving.
All right. And again, this is all hypothetical. But I would, like, if I could get a second-round pick for a guy that's not a part of your plans.
See,
you got to think there's a backup out there that's going to be back on the market at some point throughout training camp.
Carson Wentz on the team?
Oh,
please, no.
Dare.
Could you imagine?
But could you get Kenny Pickett back here? If he falls out of favor in Cleveland.
They have like 8 quarterbacks on that team. Somebody's going to become available.
But here's the thing.
In Cleveland.
And this goes back to the whole Phillies trade all the prospects conversation and stuff like that. But this is kind of the opposite, because Tanner McKee is a valuable player on this team in case anything goes horribly wrong. And this is not play for draft picks, right? The Eagles are pretty darn well set up for the future. They have a lot of young talent on both sides of the ball. A second-round pick to me is less valuable than having a backup that can keep you in a postseason push if Hurts has to miss a week or two late in the season. Like, that second-round pick does not carry as much value for a team going for a repeat as it would for a team that's trying to still figure stuff out.
See, I think they'd still be in the playoff mix if he misses 1 or 2 games. And if he misses more than that, then your season's probably done anyway. Tanner McKee's not taking you over the hill.
Thank you.
That's not what I'm saying.
I don't think Tanner McKee's winning the Super Bowl, right? I don't want to. After a great day yesterday, I don't think he's winning you a Super Bowl. So, if anything, I'd rather get what I think is the most worth back, and that would be a high draft pick.
No, but I'm saying the legit scenario we've been in multiple times in the past 3 years where you are in a postseason race, right? The Eagles are trying to lock up postseason seeding or win the division or whatever, and Hurts has to miss a couple of weeks down the stretch, and those games might matter. In the past couple years, the Eagles have been lucky that they have not. But in this year, let's say Hurts has to miss with a tougher schedule 2 weeks in December. And you've got to win one of those games. And the guy you're trotting out there, because you traded Tanner McKee for a second-round pick in 2028, is Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Or Carson Wentz.
Stop with the Carson Wentz. We're not doing that. It's a summer Friday. Come on. But I'd rather have Tanner McKee on this team than the draft capital at this point with this season.
I mean, dude, if you're talking about a second-round pick.
Yeah, dude, second again, Sammy Sleeves got you a 1 and a 4, and this is when Sammy Sleeves was done.
That was not a team competing for anything. That was a team trying to figure out if their rookie quarterback was going to be able to play at this level and it was worth the draft capital they spent on him. This is a team that has as open window to win a Super Bowl as we're probably going to see for a while.
Okay. And if you think Tanner McKee will win you a Super Bowl, then
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he can win you a game, which could help you stay in the postseason, which could then give Jalen Hurts a chance to come back and win the Super Bowl.
I get this whole conversation super hypothetical, but the situation you're putting the Eagles in is so hypothetical where they're going to need this guy for one game later on.
It's not. We've seen it 2 of the last 3 years.
We have seen
it. They haven't needed him.
That's like saying the Ranger Suarez could be hurt late in the season is super hypothetical.
Yeah, but in 2022...
That's like saying Joel Embiid's knee might be injured.
But you're saying the Eagles are going to be in a situation where they do need him. They haven't needed him, Jalen Hurts, that is, in the 2 games that he's missed the past 2 Super Bowl runs. The 2022 season, they lost both the games he was out, and you ended up there anyway. Still had the 1 seed, mind you. And then last year, you didn't necessarily need him either.
That doesn't mean that this year, if it happens, you won't. And I'd rather have that safety net than a second-round pick, which means nothing.
But the second-round pick
current Eagles
is something you have in your back pocket in September.
I don't care about the back pocket. Our front pockets are full. We're trying to win a damn Super Bowl. Screw the back pocket.
JM checks in. Imagine saying McKee couldn't win with the starting offense when guys like Sam Darnold have done more with less. Chunas isn't a serious person. I'm just saying I don't believe Tanner McKee projects to a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
And I don't want anyone to think that's what I'm saying.
I think Tanner McKee can win you a game or 2. Yes, I've said that numerous times today, that I think he could be a starter for some teams in the NFL, that I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be in the league for quite some time. But do I think he's winning the Super Bowl? No, I do not. And so if I could get a high-value pick in return, and again, this is all hypothetical because nobody's calling right now unless something were to happen. And I know how attached a lot of you get to the backup quarterback in this city.
God, I love preseason football.
All right, coming up next.
So much fun.
Maybe Tanner McKee is on the radar for a few teams. That got horrible news yesterday. If the news is actually true. It's Kincade Salciunas, Connor in for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
1 preseason game down, 2 to go. I'm Brendan going with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score of 34-27 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Most starters did not play, but some guys competing for a starting job did play, like Keely Ringo. It was not the best night for Ringo as he struggled throughout, as did Adoree Jackson. Nick Sirianni, though, he spoke about Ringo after the game.
He's done a lot of good things, and everything, we evaluate everything, right? It's not just a one game deal, and I have no doubt that he'll look at the tape, we'll look at the tape, and he'll get better from that.
Tanner McKee, he shined, though. He went 20 of 25 through the air for 252 yards and 3 total touchdowns. The players have an off day today before returning to camp tomorrow. Vic Fangio set to speak to the media prior to tomorrow's practice at 9:40 in the morning. The Eagles' lone open practice of the offseason of training camp takes place on Sunday. Don't go looking for tickets, though. They're already sold out. The Phillies are back in action tonight after an off day yesterday. They're back on the road against the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound tonight. First pitch is at 8:05. This update update was brought to you by Audible. Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you because you can't be pinned down unless you want to be. Your first love story is free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Four here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll get to our texts and our calls here momentarily. Don't forget, on this Football Friday, Andrew DiCecco is going to be joining us coming up at 8:25, as he will throughout the course of the season following a game. He will do a little call-in, and we'll talk about it.
The day after DiCecco.
Yes. And so looking forward to talking to Andrew about some of the things he saw, because he was very active yesterday at Lincoln Financial Field watching the Eagles in their first preseason game against the Bengals. Now, one more note on the Tanner McKee thing. Does his stock rise because of a report or a statement made by the grandfather of one Arch Manning? Pop. does not believe he will be entering the NFL draft following the 2025 season. Now, this is a draft class where every single year is a big quarterback draft class. But this is one of those draft classes where people value the quarterbacks that will be there, and that's why some teams moved picks to this year, like the Cleveland Browns did, which is why they did not take Travis Hunter, and they were willing to move and get a pick for a future first-round pick in next year's draft so that if they needed to trade up. Now, Arch Manning's pop saying, he's going to be in Texas. We've already talked about this. He's going to be in Texas for another year through the 2026 season. There's a lot of teams that probably got pretty upset hearing that yesterday.
Yeah, they're like, man, we planned out a lot of stuff to try and go get this kid, and he's going to be a Longhorn. Now, grandfather saying it now is very different than the player not going into the draft.
Sure.
So a lot of things can change, but if that's true.
But he's going to make more money, as John has brought this up a couple times. He's going to make more money this year and next year, NIL, than he would his rookie contract.
Yeah, which makes total sense. And to be the man at a place like Texas, probably pretty fun.
And he'll probably still end up being the first overall pick in 2027, right? Like, as long as his game doesn't completely fall off.
A little off bar. If you're Arch Manning, don't you get sick of everybody else talking for you? Like, all you hear is like Peyton saying something, Eli saying something, his other uncle saying something. Like, and then his grandpa. Like, at some point, it's like, dude, just let me live.
Yeah, let me handle it myself.
Yeah.
I get it.
You know what? I'd deal with that if it meant I was a Manning who was going to go 1 overall in the NFL draft, though.
Yeah, and everybody, and you know what? Those guys are asked every time.
Yeah.
Tell us the latest about your nephew or grandson or son or all that kind of stuff. All right, what do we have on the text line? You can text the show at 610-632-0975. Overall reactions to preseason game number 1 last night. The cornerback battle between Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo did not go well for both of those players. So where is your level of concern? Because that is one of those logical concerns that I think we all have, or most have, because there are some really big Keely Ringo fans out there when they didn't really get a chance to see all that much, which is why I'm kind of confused by that. And then the Phillies stuff, your concern level with the rotation. We had Matt Gelb on yesterday. We played some of the clips earlier this hour where he is concerned about Wheeler. He is concerned about Ranger Suarez. And we are reaching we have started the second week of August, and we still don't know what the outfield could look like in October, which is insane to me. What do we got on the text line, Gunner?
Yeah, we got Brady in Norristown checking in. Speaking of getting sentimental over a backup quarterback, he checks in saying Tanner McKee is the third best quarterback in the NFC East. Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Tanner McKee.
Stop.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I had to get that one out of the way so we could unpack this.
I love the take. I love it. I saw it on social media last night. Like, the Eagles have the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFC East. Stop.
Yeah. Look.
Come on.
And again, in case people are wondering where this conversation is even coming from, he added to his value yesterday. If a team were to come a-calling, I'm somebody that goes, yeah, you do it, because I don't think the value will ever be higher. Now, I understand everybody's point of view. I understand your point of view, that if Jalen were to miss a game or two, he has shown that he is good enough to go out there and win you a game or two, which could be important considering Jalen Hurts' history. It's like the Embiid thing. Like, I can't go into every season game planning with the injury.
No, I feel you. But here's the thing, right? If it's June and we're having this conversation, it may be a little different because there are guys out there to go get. There are potential moves to be made in free agency. Like, at this point, with less than a month till the start of the season, I don't want more install. I don't want more for Kevin Patullo to think about. Like, I don't want to change anything with the structure of this quarterback room. So,
well, what install? I mean, it's back. Whoever you bring in is still the backup,
right? But if you got to go to this guy, that's the thing. Tanner McKee's preparing to play every single week. Now, he doesn't have to, but he's a guy that's been with this team, played last year. He's got that relationship with Kevin Patullo. Like, I don't want to rock the boat by taking a guy out of a somewhat valuable position for a team that's contending.
Bro, they're a quarterback factory. Howie told us they're a quarterback factory.
I don't know. Are the doors still open? I haven't heard an update on it.
Look, I mean, Tanner McKee was undrafted, and now look at him. So, they are a quarterback factory.
He's everything that Clayton Thorson was supposed to be.
That was a 5th-round pick, by the way. What else we got on the text line?
We got no name, first-time texter on this one. He says, I'm definitely worried about the fact both cornerbacks got cooked last night, but it was the worst possible situation for them. We did not have our starting D-line in the game, and we were getting no pressure at all for the most part. Some of those, I don't know if that's true, but yeah, some of those passes they allowed would not have happened against our number one defense because Burrow would have been sacked by our amazing D-line. That said, still concerned we're taking a step back at CB2 no matter which way you look at it.
Hold on there. We don't. I still question how often this edge will get to the quarterback. All right, like I still question that now.
I don't as much.
I do. We'll see Nolan Smith now that there's more Nolan Smith tape out there, and now that he's the guy, how good is he going to be on every single snap? Jalen Hunt, I like, but I got to see a lot more before I send a text like that, or before I have an opinion like that. I still have to see a lot more. Now, it's not necessarily just like it. You saw some of those routes, like that Jamar Chase touchdown. There was a blitz up the middle, and Joe Burrow got the ball out quick. That was not he had an extended amount of time, and Jamar Chase just made a great play, and Keely Ringo missed. Like, that was a quick ball is out. Keely Ringo, they mentioned it on the broadcast, knew that there was a blitz coming, so he should have been aware that there may have been a quick throw in that situation, and he did not break back on the ball till very late. And then he was so late that Jamar Chase, little spin, boom, he's gone, touchdown.
Yeah, now I understand the texter's point. Like, I don't think that's a bad explanation of why maybe it would be better in a different situation, right? But what it doesn't do for me is it doesn't make me feel better about those individual players. And I can't have individual players that aren't supposed to be on this field for this team. They're supposed to have guys out there that can play at basically every position. And that might be a lofty ask, because every team has weak spots, but last year's Eagles team did not. Now, I'm not going to hold them to that standard of production.
No.
But I will say that you should try and replicate it if you're still in a Super Bowl window, which they are. Like, you're going to have easier matchups if you're next to Quinyon Mitchell and Reed Blankenship and Zach Bond's out there and Jalen Carter's in the middle. And the other thing with the Nolan Smith thing that you said, where like him being the guy and the pass rush, I don't know that I buy that. It's not like you have guys not aware he's on the field. He's still going up against starting offensive tackles with what he did in the postseason last year.
Sure.
And he's going to have Jalen Carter, who you have to scheme for. So you can't really double him. So I think Nolan Smith's going to have a good year.
But if the tight end lines up on the line of scrimmage, there's an extra chip. If the running back is in the backfield, there's an extra chip. If you remember, Hassan Reddick, Hassan Reddick, Pro Bowl football player.
Very good, yeah.
2022, he has, 17 and a half sacks. And then 23, the numbers went down. And he himself said at one point, I'm seeing more chips than I've ever seen.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
And so that's Nolan Smith, a Pro Bowler. Or, excuse me, that's Hassan Reddick, a Pro Bowler, saying that. We'll see what ends up happening with Nolan Smith now that he is the guy. Like, if you are doing a hierarchy of who are we going to not let beat us, Jalen Carter's going to get his double team, triple teams, but Nolan Smith is the other guy in the line of scrimmage where you're saying this is the guy that we have to truly prepare for. Look, he still had Josh Sweat that got some attention last year.
Yeah, he did, and there was a better rotation than what it looks like they have right now. It's just not like some people may look at it, hey, as cornerback 2, you're lining up against the number 2 wide receiver, and now you're the guy, so you line up against the number 1 wide receiver. He's going against starting tackles in the NFL, so I don't think it'll be that big of a transition for Nolan Smith. He will just have more to deal with, and we'll see if he can handle it.
All right, what else we got on the text line?
Somebody checking in quickly saying Tanner McKee completes me, and then we got Joe the Cynic checking in.
I love that. I told you, I know how we get with the backup quarterbacks. We love them.
We got Joe the Cynic checking in saying the Phillies organization is either clueless, afraid, or stuck in a small market mentality. Their decision-making process does not make sense if they really want to win a title. Keep puffing your chest out that you have all the prospects in the system. Maybe we'll see them someday.
That's the weirdest thing was the day after the trade deadline. You're clubbing in Ibiza. John, I forget where John was. Gunnar and I are the only ones that work around here. I was so upset, not just because of the deflating trade deadline, but the way Dave Dombrowski spoke to the media. First off, offending me, saying Max Kepler's swinging a better bat when he was batting 160 in the month of July. So, don't offend me. Mr. Dombrowski. And then talking about Harrison Bader, yeah, we really like him. We just don't know where we're going to play him yet. That's okay. I don't like hearing that. And then talking about how Justin Crawford, he's ready. He's MLB ready. We could call him up right now, and we believe that he would be able to play right away at a high level. But we want him to be able to play every day, and we don't have that spot for him. Well, then what does that mean? Because if he's better than the guys that you have, then just give him one of the starting spots. Like, it's the messaging from Dave Dombrowski has been so confusing to me. And we are August 8th not knowing what the outfield will look like. A team that we're talking about World Series contenders. A team that we're saying World Series or bust. Not a team that's just trying to be the 7th seed and make it into the playoffs for the first time in X amount of years. Like, this is a team that's supposed to be a World Series contender. We don't know what the outfield's going to be.
No, I'm with you on this. I don't think they're handling it well, and I don't understand the Crawford thing at this point in the season. Now, we can't be revisionist. Oh, they should have called him up months ago because he's been good all... No, but where we're at right now, I think he should be on this team. And something that's important with these rotations is Dave Dombrowski also did say, like, hey, the lineup card's Rob Thompson's. So who he wants to put out there. So I look at Topper as well on this and be like, yo, I don't know why you're still trotting Max Kepler out there, even though he did have a good day the last time he went to him. You got to, I almost said a bad word, you got to do your business or get off the pot at some point when it comes to these outfield decisions.
Look, they did their 6 days, and we heard Matt Gelb say it. We'll find out tonight. It's a right-handed pitcher. Is Kepler in the lineup tonight? We'll find out. All right, coming up next, today's headlines with Brennan Gunn. We'll check a couple more text messages. Also, don't forget Andrew DiCecco for his day after check-in at 8:25. It is Kincade and Salciunas, Connor and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
Yes! 8:11 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We have today's headlines with Brendan Gunn coming up here momentarily. Give us one more text message before we get to today's headlines. What are the people saying about either the Eagles or Phillies? Because today's been a good back and forth day between both teams right now.
Dude, this Tanner McKee love fest is insane. We got a first-time texter checking in saying the Eagles have the best wide receivers in the NFL, historically great running back, one of the top 3 offensive lines in the history of the game, and you're trying to tell me a quarterback with that poise, that accuracy, and that arm strength with those weapons couldn't win a Super Bowl? Come on.
So we're going Tanner McKee could win a Super Bowl with the Eagles. That's almost disrespectful to Jalen Hurts.
I told you. That's why I had this topic today. I knew that there would be reaction to that. That people fall in love with the backups in this city. And look, he was good. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback.
Right.
Let me be clear. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he could be a starter on teams, which is why I even have this conversation about if a team comes calling.
Yeah, if they call and they say first-round pick for Tanner McKee.
Yeah, think about that for a second. I said second, right? If a team called and offered a first-round pick for your backup quarterback, and you said no.
Yeah, that one I'm doing.
You are crazy.
That one I'm doing.
Oh, I'm doing a second-round pick, too. But
if a team needs a quarterback to start this year, and it's Tanner McKee, chances are they're going to be ass. And it's going to be a high pick.
Right,
or they're going to be great because Tanner McKee's awesome.
Or it's Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt, and the Vikings needed a starting quarterback, and so they trade for Sam Bradford. There could be a chance where a quarterback gets hurt.
Right, but either way, a first-round pick's a first-round pick.
I don't wish injury upon anyone. You guys know that. Let's say Mr. Ayahuasca gets hurt.
Yeah.
The 42-year-old fake married man, Aaron Rodgers. He's 42. What if he actually gets hurt?
Yeah.
Right?
Slips in the shower or something. Life alert.
Or he gets hurt in a football game. That's a team that went out and got DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay. They built a win now roster with a old quarterback. Mason Rudolph's their backup.
I'm calling the Falcons first.
Okay, for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, maybe they don't want Kirk Cousins. Maybe they go, look, tape is tape. What if they see something? I'm just saying, if we're talking first-round pick, and you're saying, oh, my God, this guy's got an NFL arm. Yeah, he does, which is why there's value. I would find it crazy if we – is he the next hang up the phone? Is he the next Mick Abel? The next Ranger Suarez?
Yeah, first-round pick, you'd kind of have to do that. Now, I don't think they're going to get a first-round pick for their backup quarterback, but it's a weird situation because Tanner McKee is –
He's better than most backup quarterbacks.
He's better than the position
he probably could. He could be a starter. Yeah, absolutely. All right, time now for today's headlines with Brendan Gunn.
Today's headlines with the one and only Brendan Gunn.
Brought to us by the one and only Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers, visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. And we're living in the era of podcasts. And I think somewhere out there in the podcast ethos, there's 2 white guys doing a podcast. I don't know, never listened to it, never will. But Jason Kelsey appeared on it, and he hopped on, and he made a kind of a bold claim yesterday. He said, quote, we'd beat the 2017 Eagles, that is, would beat the F out of last year's Super Bowl winning Eagles team. What are your thoughts on that?
I heard the clip. I think he said it more tongue-in-cheek because he said, I got my competitive juices flowing, so we'd beat the F out of you guys.
He knows that's not true.
Yeah, it's interesting. If we're talking main roster v. main roster, pre all those injuries to Jason Peters, even though they won the Super Bowl, okay, we could have a debate, but
no, we cannot. The 24 team still wins that game.
They beat the crap out of the Patriots.
Do you include the Magic in that 2017 team? Does the Magic come with them where they weren't losing to anybody?
They do have to come with the Magic.
At that point,
I don't know though. It's Magic versus maybe the best football team we've ever seen.
Dude, I don't know, man. This team, we're talking about how the 2024 Eagles were. We had a legitimate conversation about whether or not they were a top 5 all-time Super Bowl team.
Yeah, and I think they are. Dude, last night
nobody's saying that about the 2018 team.
Last night on the preseason game broadcast, they had Saquon Barkley interview, and they had his stats next to him. It was first in this, first in this, first in this, and then they showed the defensive numbers, and they were like first in this, second in this, first in this, first in this. That team last year was unstoppable. Nobody beats them.
Like, I hear you, but like on paper, the last year's
When
team
Nick
should
Foles, anything's
kick them out. But the
possible.
magic, dude, the magic.
Nick Foles would probably throw for 500 on that.
Yeah, how do we know that the 2014 didn't have any magic to them? Like,
They were just good.
didn't need
They
magic.
were just
no,
good.
no, they made the Patriots literally look like a mediocre football team.
The Chiefs.
the Chiefs.
Sorry, the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
They had belt-to-ass magic.
Yeah, like,
They were just great. Like, they're legendary. They could be historic if they go out there and do it again this year. But the pixie dust in 2017, dude, I don't know. Speaking of pixie dust, we had something pop up in Philadelphia that shouldn't be here. Not sports related. But yesterday, somebody was out there fishing in the Northeast in Bucks County, and he came across this.
Yo, there's an alligator here. Who the let go of alligator? Yo, bro, I swear to you now, I got a alligator. If I never recorded, nobody believe me. This look at that. Yo, what the is an alligator doing here, bro? Yo, we in Philadelphia.
Yeah, please share the warning to the people in Bristol Township in Bucks County. There is an alligator in Magnolia Lake. It's a little one, but what the hell's going on?
somebody illegally purchased an alligator, clearly, and then said, what kind of dumb decision did I make? Instead of going back to the black market, the dark web, I'm going to just put this thing in a local waterbed. It's like that fraud that has the emotional
I was just
alligator.
gonna say, are we
Like,
sure it's not Wally?
Yeah, like that guy's a fraud. I'm, demanding money for appearances with an alligator that could like eat him at any moment.
No, it's a tiny alligator.
What the hell are people doing? Like,
I don't
Gators
know.
are cool, man.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
hang out
Like,
with one. I'm not a gator guy.
I remember a couple of years ago there was a house in Philly somewhere, I forget where, that got caught for having a bunch of exotic animals.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that your, like, what do you get out of that? Like,
It's pretty sick.
like I get it if you have all the money in the world, you're Mike Tyson, you have a tiger. Like, I get it. But like,
You're just a regular
you're
everyday
just a regular person. What are you doing getting a gator?
You got a two-bedroom up in Bristol, and you got a gator in the back bedroom.
Well, I don't get it.
I love
dude.
people, man. That's so funny.
I question people.
Oh, yeah.
I love people, but I question people.
I love people even when I question them. I just like being entertained.
Like, sometimes I get annoyed with my cat. All right? I can only imagine getting annoyed with a gator.
I wouldn't get annoyed with a gator. That's
No.
his house now. He better not get annoyed with me.
Hold on, dude.
Sorry, Mr. Gator.
No. Earlier this year, you said you could take a gator.
When did I do that?
You said that. When did you? You
I
don't
think
believe that you would have said that at some
No, I
point?
think I said I could,
That-
out,
that
I
sounds
could
like
outrun
Red
one.
Connor's
Yeah,
out.
I think
That
I
is
could get
definitely-
away from one.
Those things would run your ass down.
I think this is like the
Eat you
kangaroo
alive.
thing. Yeah, I think you're saying something I didn't say.
things after you, like DK Metcalf chasing down Buda Baker.
exactly.
I got wheels, bro.
All right, coming up next, our man Andrew DiCecco, his reaction to yesterday's game. That comes your way next here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Tanner McKee impresses. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score of 34-27 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Most starters did not play in the game, but one guy who's a backup who looked pretty impressive is backup quarterback Tanner McKee. McKee went 20 of 25 through the air last night, 252 yards, 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing on the tush-push touchdown. Nick Sirianni spoke about McKee after the game.
Played good. No, he did a lot of good things. Went to the right place with the football, was accurate, had really good operation, him and Kevin, a lot of communication, and yeah, he did a really nice job.
Wide receiver Darius Cooper also had himself a game last night as he tries to earn himself a roster spot. Cooper had 6 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. The players have a day off from camp today before getting back to it tomorrow morning. Vic Fangio set to speak to the media tomorrow morning prior to practice at 9:40. The Eagles have a open practice on Sunday night, but don't look for tickets. They're already sold out right now, so can't get those. Phillies are back in action today after a day off yesterday. They hit the road again to take on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound. First pitch is tonight at 8:05. This update was brought to you by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Get 60% off and free UPS shipping at rapidradios.com. Use code radio for an extra 5% off. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It is 8:25 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Reacting to Eagles-Bengals preseason week number 1. We saw some good. We saw some bad. But let's turn to the real football guy that's a part of this show. No, John Kincade is not calling in from Los Angeles. But now on the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day, let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From inside the birds, here on The Fanatic. He was with us for 2 hours yesterday. We do the check-in with Andrew DiCecco. What's up, brother? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. What's going on?
It was a fun game for some and not so fun for others. Let's start with the not so great, in my eyes, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, not so great. Curious to get your reaction to two players that are fighting for the second cornerback spot.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Look, Jamar Chase gets a lot of corners with that, but for Keely Ringo, this was an opportunity for him to go out there and put his stamp on the job and really, I guess, sort of ward off the potential of Jacorian Bennett now entering the conversation. He could have put an end to all of that. But the things that I keep seeing, Andrew, for Keely, it's not about athleticism. He's always in the right position, but he has trouble locating the football. And then on the play where I believe it ended up being a 36-yard touchdown, it was a poor pursuit, poor angle to wrap up. You have to make that play if you want to be a starting corner in the NFL. And then so Adoree Jackson was slightly better, but he also struggled as well. So they're going to have to find an answer here at corner, and I imagine that Jacorian Bennett's going to be on the practice field on Saturday.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot for where this cornerback 2 position goes, and we'll be watching Bennett. Now, let's take a look over at the safety position because Sidney Brown went down partway through the game. He was in the blue tent. What's the evaluation of the safety battle after game 1?
Yeah, and by the way, we were down there at the tunnel as the players were coming off, and for what it's worth, Sidney Brown came off with his teammates. He had a helmet in hand and a smile. We'll have to wait and see what happens from there. Obviously, there's still time to figure some things out, and I expect some news, if it's anything of significance, to sort of trickle out. But my assessment, Connor, of the safety play is, I mean, Sidney, I watched him intently the first few plays of the opening defensive series, and he is just like a heat-seeking missile, intense. He plays with ferocity. There is a play where Jamar Chase catches a short pass, and it looks like it was a 2nd and 2, and it looks like he has a lot of green grass in front of him, but Sidney throttles down and sort of displaces the receiver who's trying to block him and gets him in the way enough where Trotter Jr. can come around and clean it up. I like the way that he sort of plays with controlled chaos. And so, I mean, we didn't see him a lot. I mean, on a first down running play, he ended up leaving, looked a little woozy, and then we didn't see him again. But Tristan McCullum, Andre Sam, by the way, I thought did some nice things on special teams and on defense as well, making some nice form tackles. I thought he brought a lot of energy, and I talked a lot about him when I was on with you guys and elsewhere, that he's a player that the Eagles like, and they've worked with him over the past year to develop him.
I want to give you your flowers. We have been a lot today. Darius Cooper, the guy that you predicted would win the Paul the Burner Turner Award. 6 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know if the Eagles will dress 5 or 6 wide receivers, but a guy like Cooper is a guy that you have on your radar. How big was last night for him trying to get a roster spot?
Well, it was huge, Andrew, and it's one thing to really make some waves in training camp. Smile Mondin did that. He didn't necessarily correlate that into preseason success. But for Darius Cooper, who has been very consistent and has established a rapport with Tanner McKee, you saw it also translate into the game. And he's for real. He can play. This isn't just a blip on the radar, a flash in the pan. The moment has never been too big for him, whether it was getting a handful of first-team reps in practice or, catching a deep fade from Tanner McKee in tight coverage and then going out there and executing to a T in the preseason game. So I think that he's really optimized his opportunities, and he's also benefited from A.J. Brown missing some time in training camp, Devontae Smith missing some time, and Terrace Marshall. And to his credit, he hasn't squandered that. So I think he's going to continue to build off of that. And Tanner McKee, in turn, is only going to grow in confidence with him. And I think he's going to see a flurry of targets over the next 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it looked like Elijah Cooks. It didn't look good for him, and you could see by his reaction that he was beside himself, and he was having such a good summer. Again, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But again, that creates opportunity for someone like Darius Cooper to get more reps, Anais Smith to get more reps, Johnny Wilson as well.
Let's talk about the man of the night. How good is Tanner McKee? Because he looked really darn good last night.
Yeah, so Tanner McKee is absolutely the real deal, and I believe that he has the tools to be a starting quarterback sooner than later somewhere in this league. And it really tracks with what we've all seen in training camp, where he's throwing the ball with touch and accuracy and finding ways to involve all the different receivers that maybe he doesn't have that immediate rapport with. He trusts his playmakers, and I think he throws an incredibly beautiful deep ball. And, on the money, in the breadbasket, it really is a sight to behold. And he just has such good command of the offense, and he's a very quick processor. Those are some things that I was jotting down as I was watching him go through the different series. I think the Eagles have to be, over the moon with the returns that they've got on Tanner McKee, who was the number 188th overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. It's kind of remarkable to think. But, having somebody who can play to that level elevates the whole offense. It allows guys like Darius Cooper and Anais Smith to be able to make some plays and carve out a role and get some good tape out there.
What'd you make of the offensive coordinator? Obviously a vanilla offensive game plan, but it seemed like everything went without a hitch, which to me that's a win within itself. What did you make of Patullo's first day calling plays?
Yeah, it was largely vanilla, but I thought that the operation, which is what he referenced as being something he was going to be keying in on, I thought it was clean. I thought the offensive line handled themselves well. There weren't a lot of penalties. It was really buttoned up, and that's always what you want to see. That's the first impression. And so I think Kevin Patullo has to be happy with the output. And I can't wait to see what this offense is going to look like when they go full steam ahead come week one, because I saw a disciplined unit, one that had urgency in and out of the huddle, and the quarterback who kept the offense on schedule. So all good things for the offense, in my opinion.
I know you're going to talk about a guy that you love to, and Will Shipley, but I want to talk about another part about his 39-yard run early in the game. Tyler Steen, a big-time block on that.
38.
38, sorry about that. Steen making that block, but also being out there. What did we learn about his potential to win the right guard spot?
Yeah, actually, if you brought up that play, the first player I was going to mention was Tyler Steen, because he was one of two starters that were out there, Jahan Dotson being the other. And it was just a cameo for Tyler Steen, but his ability to make a decisive, know where to go and get out in space, that's what we've seen in training camp. He is athletic. He does move well. That's what we've seen when he was pressed into service last year. So I don't know how much more you're going to see of Tyler Steen in the preseason. I think you saw all you needed to see. Just get those guys healthy and to week one. But I thought he did a nice job, and it wasn't only Tyler Steen on that play. It was Matt Pryor. It was rookie center Drew Kendall climbing to the second level and making a nice block and sealing up the weak side linebacker. So there was a lot that made that play happen, and then Will Shipley finding the crease and following the convoy of blockers. I thought it was a very well executed play.
All right, last thing for you. Give us some of the biggest winners on the Eagles fighting for roster spots, either position battles or to be the 53rd guy on the roster. Biggest winners and biggest losers last night for the Eagles.
Off the top of my head, I think Gabe Hall had a nice night. In fact, Ty Robinson credited Gabe Hall for his sack because he took on two blockers. He was disruptive and in the backfield a lot. Andre Stam had a nice night on special teams, and and defense. He's somebody who's vying for one of those final safety spots. I think that he's going to make some noise here in a couple of weeks. I also think that Darius Cooper has made a case that you want to keep him around. If he's able to kind of build off of that, then you have to wonder did he put enough good tape out there that you worry about losing him because he's young, and he has a Deebo Samuel type of build. If you look at him, he's sort of stocky, 5'11". I think it's the identical height and weight. He's made plays all summer, and I don't think that that's something that's a blip on the radar. And as for players who I thought hurt their stock, Keely Ringo, Smile Mondon Jr., the rookie linebacker, he had some trouble wrapping up and making tackles, and he wasn't able to carry over that training camp success in game one. Again, game one. And I didn't think any of the tight ends emerged, and that's something that I had highlighted going into this game behind Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. Grant Calcaterra obviously had a big drop, but beyond that, Kylan Granson, Harrison Bryant, E.J. Jenkins, Nick Muse, Cameron Latu, nobody really stepped up and emerged, and that's really been a common theme throughout training camp. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. But I could easily see the Eagles just keeping 2 tight ends and then rostering one on the practice squad and elevating where they see fit.
Nobody's ever questioned whether or not you would step up and emerge, Mr. DiCecco, every single time you do. Thanks as always, brother. We'll be listening to you again. Unfiltered today, correct?
Yes, sir, 2 to 6.
All right, we'll be listening on Unfiltered later today. Thanks, brother. We appreciate the time as always.
Thanks,
There's
Andrew.
our man, Andrew DiCecco, on the Comcast Business Hotline. Great stuff as always, man. That guy just spits out all the information.
Dude,
left
that
and
Darius
right.
Cooper call by him.
Yeah?
I mean, this guy knows what he's talking about.
DiCecco, man. All right, coming up next. So we talked about it earlier. It's an article that we will go through that is a positive and a negative. It's the top 10 wide receiver duos in the NFL. The positive is where the Eagles come in on it. The negative is how many of those duos you're facing this year when you have questions with cornerback 2. It's Kincade and Salciunas, Connor and for Johnny here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The first preseason game is in the books. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Birds Insider Update. After a couple weeks of practice, the Eagles took the game field for the first time last night for their first preseason game. They left that field with a 34-27 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. One player who shined in that game was undrafted free agent wide receiver Darius Cooper. Cooper caught 6 balls for 82 yards and a touchdown. We'll see if he carves out a role for himself on this roster the closer we get to the regular season. One guy that's going to be on this roster in the regular season, though, is Jahad Campbell. He had 3 tackles last night in his debut in an Eagles uniform. Nick Sirianni talked about his rookie linebacker post-game.
He's growing, and he's doing a good job. Obviously, he's highly athletic and can do a lot of different things, and see him getting better every day.
Training camp continues tomorrow. Vic Fangio is set to speak to the media at 9:40 tomorrow morning. And then Sunday, the lone open practice for the Birds this training camp season goes down at the Link on Sunday night. Don't look for tickets, though. They are already sold out. We'll continue to keep you updated on all news coming out of the NovaCare Complex and Birds training camp right here on The Fanatic, your home of the best Birds coverage in Philadelphia.
Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts.
97.5, The Fanatic.
Goes flying today. It's good to have football to talk about.
Oh, yeah, dude. And, like, you wake up this morning, it's a crisp 61 degrees outside. Like,
Hated that.
If you know, I love it. It feels like it's back, dude. Like, I'm all for it. And it still heats up during the day. You know, you can enjoy the cold It's not supposed to be 85 degrees and wet out at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not talking about wet from the rain. I'm talking about you walk outside, you start sweating immediately. Like, I don't need that.
I love that.
That doesn't seem natural at 4
Get a good sweat
o'clock
to start your day. Get the juices flowing.
No, and then that's why you smell, like, during the show.
Actually,
like, I don't want that. All right, so we went through this a little bit earlier because I took exception to somebody calling my my radio work lazy. Took a lot of exception to it. So Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, I was called lazy because I did not think they had good days yesterday because Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are really good. All right? I have the top 10 wide receiver duos according to the team of Fox Sports. Now, is that gospel? No, because I've disagreed with some of them. But your top 10. So this segment is both the good and the bad. Your top 10. Number 10, Vikings, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I honestly think that could be higher. I wonder if the Addison suspension is part of it.
Probably, but still, they should be higher.
They should be higher. They should absolutely be ahead of Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, still talented. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, they're 7th.
Probably should be higher there, too.
Yeah, I think the Jameson Williams thing is they just wonder who he actually is. Like, I've seen him be just incredible in the deep shot, but then you see him kind of disappear at times throughout games.
Yeah, having him out there is a gamble. That's my Kincade joke. Good point. Today.
Buccaneers were 6th with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That does not even include Emeka Egbuka or Jalen McMillan, who had a really out-of-nowhere end of the season last year. He's entering his 2nd year. Number 5, I believe this is way too high for Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. They're at 5. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams for the Rams are at 4. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens at 3. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith at 2. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins at 1. The reason why it's both good and bad. The good, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith being at number 2 reminds you of just how far we've come as Eagles fans, right? The old thought that wide receivers they didn't value in this city for a long time. Yesterday we had Andrew DiCecco in, and he was talking about how for the first time in like 20 years there's a linebacker room where you go, wow, we have options. Options, not just like, oh, this guy isn't killing you. No, you have options. Like you have Nakobe Dean might not start, and he could step back on the field if need be whenever he's healthy again. The Eagles have two legitimate wide receivers, and if we're talking about trios, Jahan Dotson is a good football player. I don't care what people say about him from last year. He's a good football player. Like, I remember the tears that were shed when other wide receivers were eventually traded during the season.
And how much you had traded for.
Yeah, no, Jahan Dotson, I still I have no problem with the trade that was made. Let's see with a full training camp what he does for this team. There's a reason why he gets limited touches, by the way. Look at who's around him. So that's the good. The bad is we don't know who the second corner will be. It's either Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, who both had bad days yesterday, or it's Bennett, who you traded for and will not have a full training camp. He'll have the rest of camp. He'll have less than a month to be acclimated to Vic Fangio's scheme and playing on the field. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are number 3. You play them week 1. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are 4. You play them week 4. The Buccaneers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you play them early in the season. They're 6th. You play the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. They're 7th on this list. The Commanders, you play twice with Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. And again, I'm not terrified of Deebo Samuel. And Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, you play at some point, and Addison will no longer be suspended at that point. So the good, I love that we have the number 2 duo in all of football. And I could make the case that they're number 1. I could make the case. The not so good is we don't know who our second corner is and the second starting safety next to Reed Blankenship. And you're playing a lot of top duos in the league.
Let me ask you this, because I brought this up earlier on in the offseason, because I've been concerned about this cornerback spot for a while now.
Yeah.
And I brought up Quinyon Mitchell traveling with the number 1 wide receiver on the other team.
Yeah.
He did not do it last year.
Vic Fangio talked about that, yeah.
Do you think that should be the strategy? Whether this Jacorian Bennett thing works out or not, are you locking Q on their number 1, or are you keeping him on the side he's most comfortable on?
Here's where it gets difficult. Against the Giants, where it's one guy, Kadarius Toney, sure. Like, all right, so
Malik Neighbors. Kadarius Toney sucks.
Oh, my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Malik, oh, my God.
What year?
Wow. Malik Neighbors, thank you, dude. My God.
Where did that one even
Malik Neighbors, sure. But if it's one of these other teams, like, we're talking about duos. Like,
No,
all
I
right,
got you.
so he's going to shadow Justin Jefferson, who's better than Jordan Addison, but Jordan Addison is still a really good football player.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wonder if it's a week-to-week basis where you do
Just
that.
depends on
Depending
the guys.
on the match.
I don't hate that, but there will be points where I call for it this year, and they better do it. Like, I don't want to see Q on the other side while Jamar Chase torches somebody,
Yeah,
even if T.
I got
Higgins is
you.
over there. Like, I need that guy to be on their guy.
Yeah, I got you. Darius Toney. My God.
Killed us in the Super Bowl.
He did. Maybe that's what it is.
Don't punt to him.
All right, coming up next, we'll reset our topics. We'll check our text line. Also, did we see enough yesterday to feel comfortable if the best player on offense were to miss some time? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Inching closer to the regular season. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score of 34-27 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Most starters did not play in that game, but some guys competing for a starting job did, like Keely Ringo. It was not the best night for Ringo as he struggled in his time on the field. Nick Sirianni spoke after the game about Ringo.
He's done a lot of good things, and everything, we evaluate everything, right? It's not just a one game deal. And I have no doubt that he'll look at the tape, we'll look at the tape, and he'll get better from that.
Hopefully he gets better. One guy that continues to get better, though, is Tanner McKee as he shined last night. McKee went 20 of 25 through the air, 252 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground on that push touchdown. The players have an off day from camp today before getting back to it tomorrow. Vic Fangio set to speak to the media tomorrow morning prior to practice at 9:40. And the Eagles host their lone open practice of training camp this Sunday at the Link. But don't go looking for tickets. They're already sold out in capacity. The Phillies are back in action tonight after a day off yesterday. They're on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound. First pitch is tonight at 8:05. This update was brought to you by Moyer Indoor and Outdoor. Summer's heating up. Call Moyer Indoor Outdoor for expert pest control and lawn care. Moyer, trusted service, year-round solutions. Visit eMoyer.com today. I'm Brendan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Andrew DiCecco.
Enough yesterday. And again, vanilla offense. You were playing up against starters, but granted, it was the Cincinnati Bengals who had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. Will Shipley and A.J. Dillon both got run yesterday. Shipley had a nice day with he had the one big run, but he finishes 7 carries, 48 yards. A.J. Dillon, 5 carries, 27 yards. Dillon also doing some stuff out of the backfield in the passing game. 3 catches for 27 yards. I loved the A.J. Dillon pickup. I remember sort of somewhat celebrating on social media and immediately getting the Rashad Penny tweets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I didn't like A.J. Dillon missed time last year because of the stinger. It wasn't because his legs were run down. Now, obviously, neck injuries, you always worry about that. I get it. Like, he could end up not playing. Who knows? But it wasn't his legs weren't fresh thing. Like,
no, if he's healthy, this guy can play.
Yeah, he can play. Now, obviously, there was a drop-off from Saquon to both of those players. Just like when John would be like, oh, man, the third receiver, what if AJ got hurt? I'd be like, yeah, dude, but like, that's a lot of teams.
Any third receiver. It's like that Justin Fields conversation with the Kenny Pickett thing. Like,
right.
You got to go to the backup. You're in trouble at pretty much any position.
Right. So there would obviously be a fall-off from Saquon to the combination of Will Shipley and A.J. Dillon. But is it such a fall-off that a 2-week spell, and like, look, I'm not trying to put it out there in the ether, but like, he was healthy last year.
Yeah.
Finally.
Knock on wood.
You know what I mean? Like, he was healthy finally last year. I also keep on saying that I think they will limit his role this year so that you might need to rely on Will Shipley's and A.J. Dillon's during games in which Saquon Barkley is healthy and on the roster. Did you see enough out of those two guys yesterday, again, game one, where you're like, all right, I feel pretty comfortable here?
I did. Now, Will Shipley, I'm still not totally sold on because, again, just his second year in the NFL.
Sure.
So he's got some development still to go. But clearly he has something that keeps him at this level.
No, they used a 4th-round pick on him.
Right. And I saw, you see flashes from him. You saw it in that game at the end of last year, I think, against the Giants, where he had a couple of nice runs. A.J. Dillon, though, is a guy that has started in this league.
Yeah.
And while he's not that guy anymore, he's a dude that can get you through a couple games with the combination. I like how they complement each other, too. They do a really nice job of, like, A.J. Dillon as a versatile but more short yardage guy.
He's another quad father.
Yeah, he is. He catches the ball well. They did a good job of building that room in case they need to mitigate Saquon taking a step back.
Yeah, I like what both those guys can do. The issue is if Saquon goes down, that shuts things down for Jalen Hurts a little bit because guys aren't game planning, teams aren't game planning for Saquon anymore. That's what I'm scared about. Like, I'm fine with Shipley and I'm fine with Dillon. I think they're both skilled guys. Obvious drop-off. My concern is that game plan other teams are going to do or lack thereof when Saquon's not out there.
Makes sense.
Okay, here's the thing. Then don't stack the box and try and get any type of push against this offensive line. Like, you still have the line, even without it, and people can run behind this line. So maybe it's more the combination of what the offense could still be. But I think that was very encouraging what you saw last
And by the way, to your Shipley point, like, I know you need to see more, and I totally get it. But it's not like Gainwell broke the bank going to Pittsburgh, right? He signed it was $1.7 million contract.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't a break the bank. Like, the Eagles could have afforded to bring him back if they thought it was totally necessary. So clearly, now look, if you're Kenneth Gainwell, you're also going, wait, I can go to Pittsburgh and actually make a name for myself because I think he's going to split some time with their other running back in Pittsburgh. But here, he's the backup to Saquon Barkley.
If you were to ask me right now, do the Eagles have a lesser running back room than they had last year? And Kenny Gainwell did a nice job. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying I think it's pretty darn comparable, and I liked what they had last year. So I'm not worried about that.
Okay, fair enough. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group Station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio. powering possibilities. All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner? I know there's been concern about the Phillies, some concern about the Eagles, and of course, we've had the Tanner McKee love affair all day today on the text line.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said it wasn't going to be a Tanner McKee segment, but that's all the people want to talk about on the text line when it comes to the Eagles. We got Chris in Harleysville checking in saying, did I really just turn on the radio and hear people in Philadelphia say they'd rather trade away a great backup quarterback for a second-round pick when we then have DTR as our backup? You can't definitively say McKee couldn't get hot and go on a run, but you can say that about DTR.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Again, maybe I'm overthinking this. I don't know. If Jalen Hurts plays 5 more years, and we expect him to play more than 5 years, Tanner McKee will not be here.
No.
You know what I mean?
And the comp pick you're going to get for him is going to be a 3 at the highest, right? So if you can get a second now, you're cashing in early.
And again, it was a hypothetical, but the reason why I brought it up was because of a text like that. I knew that we would get texts like that, where it's especially in Philly, where we saw what I lived it too. I know what I saw. I still pinch myself. I still question if that was reality, and it was. Do I think that you could recreate that? Nah, not really. I don't even think if you replayed the Super Bowl, you could.
That would never happen again.
I don't think you could recreate that. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, if a team called and offered a second-round pick for a guy that you hope you never see, right? Like, that's the hope. We all hope that we don't see Tanner McKee. Then I'm making that trade.
The same people that don't want to trade him are the same people that are going to be on X on Twitter saying how he fleeced another team, our backup quarterback. We got a second-round pick for a backup.
Yeah, it's not the you can't trade Tanner McKee thing for me. It's now is not the time, right? With less than a month till the season starts, with a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that has missed a little bit of time, not significant. I'm not saying he's injury-prone, but he puts himself in harm's way more than your average NFL quarterback. Yeah. Now's not the time to move an asset at a position that could keep the season alive if you need.
I brought up the point earlier in the show, but if in a perfect world, somehow Kenny Pickett ends up on the market again, and you can get a second-round pick for Tanner McKee, get Pickett back in the offense, which he knows already, I think that's a world I could live in.
Yeah, but we're not in that world right now. Like,
not
Cleveland
yet,
still is in a point
We're also not in a world where Tanner McKee's going to play. We're not in that world. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm not giving up a safety net for an asset for the future when this team is about the price.
I'll just say that second-round pick will be a bigger asset than whatever Tanner McKee is. One guy's good. The second-round pick
like
will
8 times out of 10, correct.
Second-round pick will be your starter. Tanner
8 times out of 10, but if you're telling me 20% of this Super Bowl season.
With this draft pick, the way they got this formula cooking right now, imagine another Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, that's right.
Our old buddy Zach Berman, hoping to hear from him again soon. He put out a tweet about Tanner McKee yesterday. He said, I don't see the Eagles moving him this season. All right? So everyone can breathe a sigh of relief now.
Thank God. Or ever.
However, he can see a robust market after the season. Because he says, but the Eagles want Tanner McKee as the quarterback 2 for 2025. They could have moved him in March/April. So teams were calling, and maybe it wasn't worth whatever price teams were willing to pay, or what the Eagles would get in return, I should say. But clearly there was interest in Tanner McKee already. And if there is a robust market, as Zach Berman is saying, and oh, by the way, what did I bring up about Arch Manning? If that's one of the players that's off the board, and all these teams are trying to build something.
That's having your cake and eating it, too, because you get to keep him for the season in case that worst-case scenario that Connor discusses comes up, but then you also got to pick after the season. I like that.
Yeah, that's the scenario, right? If we get to March and Tanner McKee's sitting there as a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, and you say, hey, first-round pick, give me a call.
Calling him a 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. Come on, man.
Give him his flowers, baby.
Come on, man. Don't be doing
You brought up Carson Wentz earlier today. I don't want to hear it from you.
A 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
All right. What else we got on the text line?
We got somebody checking in. First-time texter on the Phillies discussion. We talked about how earlier Dave Dombrowski had weird words about Max Kepler, wouldn't say he was bad. And the guy said, what would you rather, Dave, come out and just say flat out, period, we're going to DFA him as soon as the 15th or 16th rolls around for Crawford? Do you want him to be that honest?
No, he doesn't have to say anything. He could just do it, though. Like, he could just do it. He could just DFA Max Kepler, which I think we're all waiting for, and he's not been, and call up Justin Crawford, which we've all been waiting for, and he has yet to be. When you're saying stuff like Justin Crawford is major league ready, but we need him to be able to play every day and we don't have a spot for him, where is that spot that is not his?
Yeah, like who's keeping him down there right now? There are some questions, like what could Harrison Bader be if they played him every day? And what is
Which they have not felt comfortable to do yet because they're still giving Max Kepler a chance. So you're right, Texter, that he's not just going to say, yeah, he stinks. But don't lie to me and say he's been swinging the bat better. That hasn't been true. And yes, he could have just said, yeah, you know, Mac's been a nice part of this team. And then you actually make the move.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, because I understand the idea. GMs or presidents of baseball operations managers, they're not going to come out and be like, hey, this guy is terrible. Like, we got to figure out something. But Dave Dombrowski has said this year and called out individual players and says, this guy needs to be more productive. We need to get more out of him. Like, he could have said that. Instead, he said, no, he's been swinging a better bat, which is not true.
Yeah.
And that's where we take exception.
You're disrespecting my intelligence. I don't need that.
Still powerhead.
How do you feel about that one?
Which one? The power hitter thing?
Yeah.
15 bombs.
Because I still make fun of you for it every once in a while.
You should.
I'm still wondering how you feel about
I'm very much on the wrong side of that conversation. I know that.
He's got 12, by the way.
He was the second guy to reach double digits, though. He was.
He's got 12?
He's only had 12 home runs, my man.
I thought I heard he had 15. That's on there.
No, he has 20 total the last two seasons.
Ibiza brain.
20 total the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, okay. Well, then get rid of him.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not on the Max Kepler bandwagon.
I'm glad. I'm glad he finally made it. All right, coming up next. When you are so good at something that unreal headlines are written about you. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
We want to hear from you.
So text us at Imagine being so good that this is your headline. Skeens allows career worst 7 hits, still blanks Reds. Imagine being so good at your sport that you can have a headline that mentions your career worst, and yet you're still pitching a shutout against the Cincinnati Reds.
That guy's pretty good at baseball.
Paul Skeens, 7-8 this year. Allowed 7 hits over 6 innings Thursday night. Struck out 8. Lowered his ERA to 1.94 on the season. He also extended his scoreless streak at home to 27 2/3 innings. So, I understand it's really fun to say, look at Christopher Sanchez sneaking his way into the Cy Young conversation.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening. There is no conversation. We could have a conversation for runner-up.
Yeah.
We
could.
Yeah, Wheeler Sanchez, who's game 1 starter.
Right, exactly.
You could have 2 of the top 3, but again, it's just another year where there's just this guy that he's going to get it.
He's 23 years old.
He's going to be a great Yankee one day.
Yeah, and that's the shame of baseball. When that is a talking point, when Tarek Skubal right away, it's all right, where is he playing in 2 years? Because it's not going to be Detroit. That's a shame. And that's one of the problems with baseball, and that's why there is a legitimate yeah, and we're talking about salary caps, and then Bryce Harper pops off in the clubhouse.
I was gonna say, watch out. He might come busting through the studio like the Kool-Aid man.
Well,
you bring up a salary cap.
I understand that he's making a lot of money, and he doesn't want to. They can't take away the money from him. They can't.
Right.
It's grandfathered in.
Yeah, something will be built in to make it still work. I think from a competitive balance. Now I get it. We have benefited as Phillies fans too. John Middleton going out there and just spending money left and right, but competitive balance in baseball would be huge.
Yeah, I'm pro salary cap for baseball. I'm anti salary cap for the Phillies.
Yeah, I got you. So how about most teams have a salary cap?
Yes.
Other than the Phillies.
Dodgers have a salary cap. Mets have a salary cap. Yankees have a salary cap. Phillies do whatever you want.
Yeah, Phillies do
I'm all in favor.
Whatever
Manfred, make the deal.
Exactly. All right, what else we got on the text line this morning, Brendan?
All right, we got somebody checking in. Scott in Marlton said, I'm not making excuses for Ringo, but Chase makes experienced cornerbacks making $1 million a game look bad every single week, every single year. I don't think Chase going out there and taking advantage of Ringo is on Ringo at all.
But
it is.
But again, he's going to be going up against other top receivers in the NFL. He will be. Let's say Quinyon Mitchell follows the number 1 receiver. And we go through this article again of the top 10 duos. That means when they play the Vikings, Keely Ringo would be going up against Jordan Addison. That means when they play the Commanders, he'd be going up against Deebo Samuel. When they go up against the Lions, he'll be playing against Jameson Williams, Chris Godwin for the Bucks, Devontae Adams for the Rams, because Nakua gets the nod as the number 1, George Pickens for the Cowboys. Those are really, really good wide receivers. Are they all at the level of Jamar Chase? No. But are they in the conversation of if they're on a different team, they're that team's number 1 wide receiver?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And for anyone who's feeling that, because I understand where people come from when they say, well, it's Jamar Chase. And you can't fault Keely Ringo for that. Put yourself in this mindset. The Week 4 game just finished. And down in Tampa Bay, Keely Ringo got absolutely torched by Chris Godwin, and the Eagles fell to 1-3. Are we going to hear more, well, he's a good wide receiver, so it's okay that Keely Ringo didn't have a great game?
No, we'd be freaking out.
Exactly. We've got to remember where the bar is set for this season. We're talking about a Super Bowl defending champion that wants to do it again. Okay is not good enough for this team.
Dude, he's not going against Todd Pinkston in practice either. Right. He's seeing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith every single day. And then you double that with the fact that you don't know what you have on the back end right now. CJ.GJ's not here anymore. You got Sidney Brown or Makuba. There's nobody to cover his ass if he's getting beat
That's
every
why
single
we've been talking about the right side of the field is something that's been a concern since literally March. It's just we've been living in the high of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl that we haven't talked about it so much. Yesterday was our first chance, because we're not hanging out at training camp every day. Yesterday was our first chance to be able to watch the Eagles go up against other NFL players. And in this case, the starters for the Cincinnati Bengals and an offense that's high-powered. And you're facing a lot of high-powered offenses in the first 4 weeks of the season. Say what you want about the Cowboys, that's still a high-powered offense. Chiefs' weapons, maybe not so much, but Patrick Mahomes makes everybody better around them. Then you got the Rams, you have the Bucks. You have high-powered offenses in the first 4 weeks of that season. And maybe week 1 of the preseason, you don't want to value that too much. You'll value the first 4 weeks of the regular season.
And we're not that far away, folks.
No.
They don't have months to get ready for this. We got to figure this out quickly.
And I'll keep on saying it. Maybe the Eagles told you what they think when they traded for Jacorian Bennett. And we'll see. I mean, Andrew DiCecco said he would not be surprised if, come practice, he's running with the ones. And then we'll see how Jacorian Bennett looks in preseason week number 2. And then, by the way, preseason week number 3, a lot of these guys don't play. So we really only have maybe one more week to figure it out. Just saying.
And no one give me that, Patrick Robinson back in 2017 looked terrible in camp, and then all of a sudden he was the greatest cornerback on the face of the planet for that season. Like, that's not a normal thing. If these guys aren't performing now, we're not going to go into week 1 feeling good about that spot on the field.
All right. By the way, quick update in Big D, Dallas. Micah Parsons, his back hurts. Not at practice today.
Oh, yeah.
So this is from Todd Archer, who's always been doing a great job covering the Cowboys. For the first time in training camp, this was yesterday, Micah Parsons is not on the practice field, and it continues today. So the new hold-in strategy is you arrive to camp and then, something hurts.
Yeah, Kevin Cooney and I talked about this on pregame last night. Listen, I feel for Micah. I hope he makes a full recovery. I'm sure that back is really bothering him. Maybe because the wallet's a little bit thin. He's not getting the support he needs when he sits down.
Maybe. And look, it's going to be interesting because we just talked about how week 1's right around the corner for the Eagles. Week 1's right around the corner for the Cowboys because the Eagles play the Cowboys Thursday, September 4th. There's a chance, I know John was saying maybe last week he'll start getting concerned if you were a Cowboys fan. I'm looking at it now. Like, he's probably one of those players that could just suit up and be just fine.
Yeah, but will he suit up? Your organization is run by a psycho who has actively insulted this guy during negotiations. I don't think I'd want to be on that field either.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to pay attention to whether or not he's even around in week 1 when the Eagles play. And look, that's a big win for us. It's a big win for Jalen Hurts not having to worry about that behemoth.
There's a lot of
down
stuff
his neck
that is starting to fall into, and this is why the Eagles, like, knock on wood, healthy and taking care of business and contracts. Like, you look around the NFL and some of the big-time opponents you have this year are already losing players or in disputes with players.
Chargers.
Yeah, Rashawn Slater done for the season. That's a huge loss for them. Obviously, the Eagles play them at some point this season.
Does Becton kick out there?
That's a good question because they signed him to be a guard. We'll see. That's a great question, Gunner.
They have a backup that started like a good amount of games that will probably play there, but still at the same time.
That's a huge loss for them. They just paid him, didn't they?
114 for 3, I think, or something.
Yeah, like that's a big loss, and he's one of their captains. It's a big loss for the Chargers. All right, coming up next, we've been, sprinkling in the Phillies throughout the course of the show today. How big did this weekend series with the Rangers all of a sudden become? We'll talk about that coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas, Connor and for Johnny today, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The first preseason game is in the books. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Eagles won their first preseason game last night by a score of 34-27 over the Cincinnati Bengals. Most starters did not play in the game, but one guy who did was backup cornerback Tanner McKee. McKee went 20 of 25 through the air for 252 yards and 3 total touchdowns, 2 throwing, 1 rushing on that tush-push touchdown. Nick Sirianni spoke after the game about McKee.
Played good. No, he did a lot of good things. Went to the right place with the football, was accurate, had really good operation, him and Kevin, a lot of communication, and yeah, he did a really nice job.
Wide receiver Darius Cooper also had himself a game last night as he tries to earn himself a roster spot. Cooper had 6 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. The players have a day off today before returning to camp tomorrow. Vic Fangio set to speak to the media tomorrow morning at 9:40. The Eagles' lone practice, open practice of the training camp process is going down this Sunday. Don't look for tickets, though. They're already sold out. The Phils are back in action tonight after a day off yesterday. They're on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound. First pitch is tonight at 8:05. This update was brought to you by Dairy Queen. Savor the DQ chicken strip basket with 4 seasoned chicken strips, fries, Texas toast, and a DQ signature country gravy. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy Tastes Good at participating locations. I'm Brennan Gunn, and you're listening to the home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Phils begin a series with the Rangers tonight. We're still talking Eagles. We'll get more of your text messages and your Tanner McKee love here momentarily. But the Phillies begin a series with the Texas Rangers, who have been playing a lot of really good baseball since the All-Star break, which is why all of a sudden a team that you thought could potentially be sellers did not become sellers. They were actually buyers. Now they're 4-6 in their last 10. So this is where some teams, I think, mistake themselves. Are we actually buyers or are we not? The Rangers were just in the World Series a couple of years ago and won it. So I don't blame them for thinking they're legitimate buyers. Like teams like the Angels, I laugh at.
Yeah, you're never...
Like the Angels acquired players. The Angels were buyers, and they're 5 games under 500. That I laugh at that.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Exactly. But the Rangers, they were buyers. Now, they've been playing good baseball since the All-Star break. And if you look at the upcoming pitching matchups, it's going to be a difficult series. The Phillies go Sanchez today, Luzardo Saturday, Wheeler Sunday. Wheeler gets pushed from Friday to Sunday because of the shoulder, and we don't know if he's officially pitching Sunday. We don't. Matt Gelb said he could get pushed again for all we know. So Sanchez, Luzardo, Wheeler going up against Merrill Kelly, who's 9-6 with a 3.22 ERA this year.
And he also has given the Phillies trouble in the past.
Yes, he has.
Back to 23.
Jacob deGrom, who's back to being Jacob deGrom, 10-4.
He's not that good.
10-4, 2.80 ERA, 135 strikeouts. And then Patrick Corbin, for the life of me, I have no idea how this guy is all of a sudden. I know Texas is a pitcher-friendly ballpark, so maybe that's something to do with it. It's the weirdest thing to me that this guy's all of a sudden got a sub-4 ERA for the first time in like a decade.
He was the worst pitcher in baseball in Washington.
Yes.
And now, all of a sudden, he looks like the guy that Washington tried to sign.
Right. And look, maybe I don't know his splits off the top of my head. Maybe he's pitching better at home because it's a team-friendly, it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, but they're pitching in Texas. So that was,
And they are a
that's where
very
they're
good
playing.
home team as well, the Rangers are.
Yes.
Great at home, not so much on the road.
Home, his ERA is 3.44. Road is 4.33. So I'm right. Like his home splits are a lot better than the road. He's given up 5 more home runs on the road than at home because, again, pitcher-friendly ballpark. This has all of a sudden become a sneaky series because if you're trying to continue to build off of your momentum, right, the Tigers series was great, taking 2 of 3. The Orioles, you took 2 of 3. The last game was deflating, but you won 2 of 3. You're now facing a team where they got some pretty good pitchers, but it's also a sneaky series because we don't know what this lineup will look like. The 6-day platoon window is done. So are we finding out who they believe is the stretch run roster tonight or stretch run lineup tonight? Merrill Kelly's a right-handed pitcher. Harrison Bader has the opposite splits where he actually hits righties better than lefties, at least this season. Max Kepler is a left-handed bat. Nick Castellanos has struggled against right-handed pitching this year. So if Matt Gelb's article has some life to it, these are conversations that he has heard. So it's not like he just wrote this and speculating. He's doing his reporting. Could Castellanos get a day off in this series where it's Kelly, deGrom, 2 right-handed starting pitching? Like, do we find out today at probably 5 o'clock Eastern, because the game's at 8:05? Do we find out what they might be doing the rest of the way?
No, we do not. We get continued platoon. And frankly, as much as, and I told you already, right? I do not like it. This is the thing that bothers me most about the Phillies right now is how they're handling this outfield. In this moment, for today's game, they should have Kepler in left and Marsh in center. And that should be the setup because it's in this small sample size, it has worked, right? They have won games. They have produced offense. I know you're fixing your eyes over there because you're tired of it. I am too. But at the same time, it has worked so far. And they're not going to, right or wrong, give up on something that's been productive for 6 games. It'll have to fail before they move off it.
3 of which were against the Orioles.
I understand. Listen, I understand. I'm not saying it's what I'd do. I'd be starting Harrison Bader. I would be. But they're going to have Max Kepler out there today.
Now hold on a second. You said in 6 games it's worked. In 1 game it worked for Kepler.
Well, yes. But then in 1 game it worked for Bader. I don't know. I'm not telling you I like it. I'm telling you that they will not move off of something that is helping them win baseball games right now. Or at least that they're winning baseball games in spite of right now. they're going to continue to do it until it's proven that they can't.
All right, a couple of things. Let's look down the road here. So when Nola comes back, somebody has to get kicked out.
Yes.
It's probably one of the bullpen arms that you're not really going to trust. When Bohm comes back, what are they doing? Like,
Weston Wilson.
I'm guessing it's Weston Wilson, so that means Kepler's still around. And then the conversation, it always comes back to Justin Crawford. What's the plan with Crawford? And I don't want to see him come up in September and be given a month to try to figure out Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I get that. I'd rather him sooner rather than later for Crawford, but it doesn't seem like they're in any rush to do it and have been at any point this year. So I don't think you're going to see it. I don't know if they're still holding out hope that maybe Max Kepler has a hot stretch in him. I don't know if they're dying on that hill, but that's the only explanation.
Be a long, painful death.
It would be. Has been already.
My God.
And I don't know. I'm not tied to Kemp being up here, even though I think Otto Kemp has been solid for what you could expect him to be. He doesn't have to be on this team today.
Yeah, look, he's been fine, but I'm sorry. I can't see Otto Kemp in the playoffs. Like who are your starters in the playoffs? All right,
the playoffs.
JT.
Yes.
Bryce.
Yeah.
Bohm.
Yep.
Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Castellanos. I think, but I don't know.
Are you leaving Stott out of that?
So I left Stott out because I'm talking about the stars that will be left-handed pitcher, right-handed pitcher. Those are the guys that are out there. So now we're talking about platooning 3 different positions: second base, center field, and left field. And I always say, I'm fine with a platoon if I like both options. I don't like both options.
Yeah, I don't mind second.
Platoon in 3 positions.
I don't mind second base as much as some people, only because Bryson Stott, he still sees a lot of pitches. He does.
He's my starter against right-handed pitching, but I am platooning him. He's not deserving of a full-time spot.
But if you told me I don't mind those options with what Edmundo Sosa has done this year, what Stott gives you defensively, Stott still at least sees pitches. Like, that's one that I can live with. But
I don't
the
consider
outfield
that
one,
the outfield.
Yeah, the outfield one is much worse.
Yeah, I mean, your outfield, because let's face it, the second Alec Boehm comes back, Otto Kemp's done, right? Like, he's not playing unless it's in some sort of platoon role. But is Otto Kemp going to play? Is Otto Kemp or Weston Wilson going to start a playoff game for you?
No. Unless something goes wrong injury-wise, no.
Do you want Max Kepler starting a playoff game for you?
No.
Yeah, say it with your chest. Come on.
I'm not saying it with my chest. Do you know why? Because they have not proven that they have a much better option that they're willing to use. That's the thing. We can all hate Max Kepler all we want, but if they're not going to call up Crawford, that's their call. And whether that's right or wrong, you can't just force them to do it, right? Like, we can't use our brain power to incept the Phillies into calling up Justin Crawford.
But then it's just the Bader and Marsh show. Like,
exactly. And I'm okay with that, but I'm not jumping for joy at the idea of Brandon Marsh and Harrison Bader being everyday players for a World Series contender.
Man.
They're not in a great spot with the outfield, and they didn't do a lot at the deadline to help that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that because they got a 6'5", 230-pound rocket fuel thrower out of the bullpen that's going to change the course of what they could do in the later innings. So that's the thing
course
they picked.
if you're winning.
Yes.
Got to get there.
Got to get there.
They'll get there. They'll get there in games.
Some games.
Yeah.
Some games.
I know, but you needed that more than you needed the outfield. If Jordan Romano was
They
still
were
your option.
mutually exclusive. You didn't have to have one or the other. You could have had both.
They were mutually exclusive. You can't just trade every top prospect.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You can.
San Diego Padres did.
We'll see where they're at the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, what do we got on the text line?
Yeah, we got a text from somebody named Steve, and it's kind of a juxtaposition of how people feel about the Eagles right now and feel about the Phillies. He checks in saying, let's pump the brakes on the corner 2 battle. They had to play one of the best receiving courts in the NFL last night. Oh, and the Phillies are getting swept this week, and they never can win in Texas.
They never can win in Texas.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the time they finally break that stretch.
Like they did in San Francisco.
No wins in Texas since 2014. Unbelievable. The Jamar Chase, I get it, guys. Like, Jamar Chase could make anybody look silly. Sure. You said it earlier. We saw Cooper DeJean clamp down on Jamar Chase. I didn't see any clamping yesterday.
Speaking of DeJean, why are they using him at safety? Like, why are they trying him out there and they won't try him out outside?
Because he's going to be your nickel corner when they are in nickel, but when they are in a base package, they're considering putting him out to safety. The only reason why I don't think we're going to see that much is because teams don't.
If you want him on the field always, just start him at outside cornerback because they're always on the field.
Well, and DiCecco believes that that's going to happen eventually, and maybe eventually is next year, right? Like eventually could literally be next season.
Maybe eventually is later this year, depending on how this goes. Like, there's nothing to say they can't make that change in season. Remember, Cooper DeJean did nothing for the first 4 weeks of last year's season and then came on and was amazing. So he can make that switch midseason. But there's a lot up in the air with the secondary.
Yeah, but the thing is, you make that switch midseason, that means you have to find who your slot corner is.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I know.
You're moving a lot of pieces around.
I got you. I don't want to do it, but let's hope Ja'Cory Bennett can play.
Let's hope. And that's why they made the trade. They told you what they were thinking about this cornerback 2 battle the second they made that trade. In the incubator, bro. Trust me, Keely's he's been waiting. All right, coming up next, we will check out some more text messages. Also, we have the key three best minutes from today's show. That all comes your way next here on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. guys didn't even know where I was going at with this, so be prepared.
I'm ready.
First, David Bednar, who was a pitcher that a lot of us had a radar on as a potential trade piece if they could not get Duran, because remember, at one point he was off the table. Bednar, now with the Yankees, just yesterday put out his thank you post to Pittsburgh.
That took a while.
It's weird. Like, now, look, life's hectic. You're getting you're now moving, even though Pittsburgh to New York's not that crazy of a commute. But you're going from Pittsburgh to New York. You're playing right away. But it was a social media post. Like,
you think he'd have someone like his agent or
somebody
publicist to go ahead and put that out?
Now the other thing. Speaking of Bednar, I'm interested. How come we've not heard from John about his last 2 outings? So nobody knows this, but remember, John didn't want Bednar because, he's a closer for the Pirates. What does that do? And his first outing with the Yankees did not go well. And John texted us immediately. But his last 2 outings have been much better.
Yeah.
And no Johnny text.
Well, he's busy. He's out in Cali. Price is Right stuff.
No, he wasn't in California.
Thompson's a jackass.
He wasn't in California yet. Another thing. I don't know how much people follow this stuff. I know the brand and how big of a following they have. Is anyone paying attention to this Barstool Beach House?
I've seen a little bit of it.
I've seen it, but I haven't been keeping up with it.
It's not enough for me to really care. What my brain then goes to is, how would it go for us?
A Fanatic Beach House?
Yeah. So I will tell you guys something. Years ago, we were this close to doing it before any of this Barstool stuff happened, right?
Yeah.
And years ago, there were personalities around here that would not have done well in the same beach house. And I'm talking years ago.
Yeah.
This isn't 2 years. I'm talking I've been here 11 years, like 7-8 years ago. With some of the personalities, they would not have been able to coexist.
That's part of the idea,
and
though.
that's why it fell apart.
Yeah.
Last second, I'm devastated because it would have been fun for me because I was like the little year 2 at the station.
Yeah, kind of the fringe guy that just gets to hang out a little bit. I would have sat
back at a free beach house and
enjoy the drama.
Yeah, exactly. I would not have been a part of the drama. I just would have sat back and watched. I would have had a front row seat for it. So devastating that it didn't end up happening.
That'd be electric, dude.
We'd be good, but we'd have 2 issues.
What would the issues be?
The number one issue would be Ricky would break something. I saw Ricky yesterday because I was in for a pregame show and they were finishing up the Unfiltered.
Okay.
And Ricky's running around this place like a madman. I love it. I love that energy, but he is still a baseball player at heart.
we would not get our deposit back.
How long would John last with people leaving food on the counter, the grease stains, something on the door?
I don't think John would be a problem. I think John would be chill. The other guy I'm worried about is Ray Dunn.
Why is that?
Because Ray Dunn works in the shadows, and he loves to stir stuff up. And Ray would be the kind of person who would trick people into conflict. And then just kind of sit there and just be, I don't know. I love Ray for that.
I put a chair under Mikey Miss's door and lock him in the room with just Happy Gilmore 2 on repeat.
Oh, I remember that fight you guys had.
I just wonder how it would go. Because I will tell you right now, it would be a lot more civil than when we originally planned it, which it would not have been. I'm telling you right now, it would not have been civil.
I think it'd be fun. I think we'd be able to handle it.
Yeah, it would just be other stuff like you said, like Ricky breaking something. I could totally see in that. Yeah. We wouldn't get our deposit back, but other than that, I do think we would be able to somewhat survive a week.
But it would be fun. I would love doing that, hanging out with you guys.
I do question the girls' sanity if they'd be locked like Silvana, Haley. Obviously, would they be able to survive a week in a house with just strictly
Silvana deals with Ricky and Bill every day. She'd be good. Haley
deals with us every day. Yeah.
I think they'd be able to hold their own. No worries.
Yeah.
Not using the same bathroom after somebody takes a dump is a little bit different.
All right. You got to go there.
I'm just saying, you're living in a house.
You do have to think about all that kind of stuff.
But we all do get along pretty darn well over here.
Yeah. So. I don't there's no beefs. Again, years ago it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner?
We got somebody checking in saying, did I hear that right? They haven't won in Texas since 2014. I think a good thing's coming this weekend for the first time in over a decade.
Yes, the Phillies have not won in the new stadium.
Now, are you saying a game or a series?
A game.
I know. I just want to clarify that for everybody. It's not San Francisco where they haven't won a series. A singular baseball game. Hopefully that ends, because if they go out there and get swept, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, there was a series last year that they got swept in. I think.
Opened
or
the
was it
season
2 years ago? Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they opened the season and
they
we're all
put
fired
like
up.
5 on DeGrom, and then Nola gave up like 7.
Yeah, it's been since 2014 that the Phillies have won a game.
Dude, we had no Super Bowls back then. Like,
What a
those
world
3
that
years
was.
prior to Super Bowl.
I saw-
Chip Kelly was here. What the hell?
I forget who tweeted it out. Somebody tweeted out like the last time they won in Texas.
The
And
lineup
it
and
was like
everything?
it was like J-Roll hit a home run in it.
I love that.
But it was the 2014 Phillies.
Yeah,
So,
the other thing that's big about this, too, the Mets are hosting the Brewers.
yes.
And that's a really tough series for them. The Brewers are like unbeatable right now. The pace they're on is unreal. And if the Mets falter again, well, you have a great opportunity to extend this lead to maybe 4.5 if you win this series. Even if you get it 3.5 and take a step back up, you're buying yourself more time if you need to have an issue with Wheeler, if you have an issue with Ranger, if you got to figure out this outfield, which they do. So it's a good opportunity to make up ground if you can play, but history recently would tell you it's a tough spot for them.
All right. The last time they won, 2014. Opening day.
Ooh.
2014. They lost the next 2 games of that series, by the way. So the losing streak in Texas started in game 2 and 3 of the season. So your box score, by the way, it was a 14-10 win.
Are we sure we win the World Series in 2023 with all these facts about not winning there?
All right. Here is your starting lineup. I'll go Rangers first. Dude, I used to love this guy. Shin-Soo Choo was the leadoff
great
hitter. Elvis Andrews, Prince Fielder, Adrian Beltre, Alex Rios, Mitch Moreland, J.P. Arencibia.
That's a solid team.
Leonis Martin and Josh Wilson were your starting players for the Texas Rangers. For the Fightin' Phils in Texas, so DH, because it was not universal yet. Your leadoff hitter in center field was Ben Revere. J-Roll Chase Howard. Marlon Byrd. Don Brown was your DH. Chooch, Cody Ashe, and that Tony Gwynn was your starting left fielder before being replaced by John Mayberry. And Cliff Lee was the opening day starter. That sounds like a good baseball team, but of course it was 2014, so it was at the end of
A lot of guys
the
who
run.
used to be guys.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, if J-Roll's not leading off, that tells you all you need to know about where he was at.
Ben Revere went 3 for 6 that day with 3 ribbies.
Was that the year that he led the National League in average? Might have been.
That 306 that year. I don't know what that was in comparison to in the National League. He was not the league leader,
Right.
Because he doesn't have the bold.
Yeah.
He had the most hits that year, though, in Major League Baseball.
Oh, that's what it was.
184 hits for Ben Revere.
Ben Revere, Phillies legend.
Yeah, that was an interesting sign.
He made that catch that one time.
Yep, and he slapped a lot of singles. All right, it's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
He was good, and in his opportunities last year, he showed that he belongs in the NFL. And that's big, to have a backup quarterback that you know that if something were to happen, you have faith in. Now, what's the ceiling? I don't know. He's a backup quarterback, and maybe he gets an opportunity down the road with another organization. But you feel comfortable seeing him be able to throw the football to certain spaces. You see him be able to make plays extended. I saw a couple of times yesterday where the pocket collapsed, and Tanner McKee was able to roll out and keep the play alive and make throws in stride. So you have a pretty good option as your backup quarterback. There's a reason why they felt very comfortable moving on from Kenny Pickett, despite trading for him just last year when he had the extra year on his deal. They trade him to the Cleveland Browns for a mid-round pick, and you have faith in Tanner McKee, who's making a name for himself after being an undrafted free agent.
Now, I think talking about right field is hate. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think it should happen. And that's just because it goes back to when we had the pre-trade deadline conversation about Alec Boehm. Castellanos has not been great this year, and defensively, we know what he is. But there are too many issues in center and left with the rotations that they can't seem to figure out, which I don't understand how you don't just have Harrison Bader playing left field and then whatever you want to do in center for a platoon, figure that out, or vice versa. It's insane to me that Max Kepler is still getting the time that he's getting, even though the last time we saw him, he was good. It's just there's too much going on that is a higher level of priority than making up for what Nick Castellanos is doing.
There may be a reason why when multiple guys were hurt, Ringo didn't get the opportunity. Same with Sidney Brown with the safety position last year. I understand that he was hurt throughout camp and he wasn't really around till a couple weeks into the season. But when Chauncey Gardner-Johnson missed time, it was McCollum who got the opportunity at safety before Sidney Brown. So sometimes the team may tell you based off of their actions and playing time before we can even really have an opinion on whether or not a guy's going to become some star.
Yeah, but I'll defend the fan base on this because at that point when that move happened where Darius Slay ends up as the post-June 1st cut, you're looking at a team that had just won the Super Bowl where that haze was still there for them. I think the fog of this is a Super Bowl winning team is dissipating the closer we get to the regular season, and that's when you'll start to see the true criticism of can this guy play. I think at that point, dude, it could have been Andrew Salciunas is being anointed as the next cornerback too for the Eagles. And everyone would have been like, they're Super Bowl champions. He's got to be great. It's your time, Salch.
I think people would freak out immediately. The plays were called on time. Wasn't delay game penalties. There wasn't a bunch of illegal man downfields. The offense looked prepared for a preseason game. And for a guy that has been in the NFL for 18 years but has never called plays at any level, NFL, college, high school, to me, that's a pretty good start. That's all I could have really asked for.
We're not going to try and overstate anything with Kevin Patullo, but he could only mess something up in preseason week 1, and he didn't mess anything up. So that's par for the course, and par for the course is a good thing right now for him.
One of the things I said to John a couple of times, because John is extra concerned about it, is what about Jalen Hurts sort of continuing to find himself in the NFL? I believe he will be a bigger part of the offense in terms of creating plays, coming up with plays, the meeting rooms, because Jalen Hurts has now been in this offense for multiple years now. And one of the big things with Hurts last season was his ability to check into plays. He was one of the better quarterbacks. There are stats that back it up for checking into plays and the result, and how well the result was after a play was checked into. And if Kevin Patullo already feels comfortable in a preseason game to turn to his backup quarterback, who we may be testing, a wide receiver who's fighting for a back end of the roster spot, giving him the opportunity to try to prove himself, and it results into a touchdown, that's something where I go, all right, a veteran OC, not really surprised by, but a guy that's doing it for the first time, having that confidence and faith in some backup players to do that. Again, I'm not going over the moon with it, but I'm pretty happy with what I saw yesterday. All right, that is the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. What do you guys make of seeing the former athletes becoming photographers? I think
like Randy Johnson?
Yeah, did you see them?
Stipe?
Did you see the latest yesterday?
No, who is it?
Marshawn Lynch.
Hell yeah,
was
I
on
love
the
that.
sideline yesterday.
He's pulling up in the golf cart?
I don't know if he rode the golf cart or not, but I think that's so cool. Like,
it is.
I just love that these guys want to be around and it's a hobby.
No, I wouldn't hire him for my wedding. Like, I don't think he's good at it.
Could you imagine you roll up and Marshawn Lynch is just taking pictures at the wedding?
By the way, you don't know if he's not good at it.
I don't know. I don't know. That's not fair. I just don't picture athletes and art in the same thing, and maybe that's not fair. Maybe
Sports
that's not
art,
fair.
baby.
Dude, Randy Johnson's actually got some skills. I found it so funny when Ichiro was doing his induction ceremony speech. Ken Griffey took a photo of him because he's now entering the photography world, and it was the most like my dad could have taken the picture, and people were like, "Oh, look at the art! Look how beautiful."
That's what I mean.
And it's
Because it's a kid.
It's like why? Because Ken Griffey Jr. took the like it was a very normal picture.
But what I will say is, like, athletes, we shouldn't require them to be public figures after. Like, if you want to just fade off into do your thing, whatever. But I do like guys staying around the game.
I just think it's cool.
Doing things that are fun. Seeing them enjoy life after sports is a great thing.
By the way, one more thing before we tell you about life-saving cancer research. Did you see the trailer for The Paper?
No.
It is the spin-off of The Office.
Oh, I'm interested. Does it
looks-
not look good?
It looks horrible.
You just don't make sequels, dude. Like, it's a classic thing.
Trying to make money, man.
It looks horrible. And look, I should not try to hold it to the standard of The Office, but I watched the trailer yesterday, and I was just like,
The Office was great because, I mean, you go back and watch those things. You can't say a lot of those things on TV anymore.
Right.
It's probably for the better for society, but it doesn't make for great television.
That's why Always Sunny still tops in ratings, because they have not been afraid to make jokes that people are afraid to make jokes of. All right, make sure. Go ahead. You want to?
Yeah, remember to support life-saving cancer research. Join me and our generous partners, Davis CPA Group, in making a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. Cancer research saves lives.
All right, Johnny's back on Monday, right?
I believe so.
I'm not making that up.
According to the schedule, yes.
All right, Johnny will be back on Monday. Hopefully he won a car or something. Everybody have a great weekend. Little self-plug. I got ESPN tonight. Late night, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m.
You can hear that here
at the bar.
You can hear that here on the Fanatic. Yeah, if anybody wants to stay up from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. with me, I'll be on ESPN Radio. Mike Missanelli's show comes your way next with the great Ray Dunn. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.